That's a quick correction. In the next clip, you're going to hear me say, hey, y'all, this is just a add-on. And I meant to say an add-on. This is just an add-on. All right. Talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Hey, y'all. This is just an add-on to the next few clips that you're going to hear. I just recalled that in the last one of the last two videos, I'm not sure which one it was. I'm not sure if it was the poem Jack of All Trades or if it was the last targeted individual video I made, the part 2 targeted individual living with Asperger's video. In one of those two videos, I mentioned the fact that the next video I posted would be a video with me on camera because I'm planning to get a laptop, and I would be taking a live breath test. And when I say breath test, proving that my breath smells good. Because I told you the tactic they're using, like pinching their nose and trying to pretend like my breath stinks. And it has everything to do with something I said in my full story about like this phobia that I have about having halitosis, because I have like this chronic stuffy nose I've had since childhood. And so me saying that in my full story led to them using it as a tactic in my targeting. There's a lot of things I said in my full story that came back to bite me in the ass, that they basically use now as tactics against me. So I went out of my way and I did research, and I found like this breath test that you can take to prove that you don't have bad breath. And I talked about it in more detail in that part 2, targeted individual living with Asperger's video. But I do believe also in the Jack of All Trades poem, I think after I shared the poem, I talked about that next video that I plan to post. I can't remember. I know I was talking about the copyright infringement after I posted the poem for Jack of All Trades. That's why you see that it's 11 minutes long. But I can't remember if I also mentioned or referenced the next video that I plan to post with me on camera. I can't remember. That's why I said it was in one of those last two videos. But I think for sure in the part 2 targeted individual living with Asperger's video, I think for sure in that one, I talked about the next video that I plan to post with me on camera. When I get the laptop, I'm planning to I'm planning to buy it when I get paid again. So when I get that laptop, I'm going to go ahead and post, like I said, a live video with me taking a breath test on camera. So look out for that. That video is still coming, y'all. But you know how it is. I'm a targeted individual, so things are always happening constantly. And some incidents occurred, PTSD, trauma, reactive abuse, the usual targeted individual shenanigans. Some incidents occurred or I felt like I wanted to defend myself. And so that's why this video is being posted now. The next few clips that you're going to hear after this one is a video just documenting PTSD, trauma, and reactive abuse. And so that's what this video is about, y'all. And so I just wanted to put this little disclaimer at the beginning and let you know that I do recall that in one of the last two videos, whichever one it was, maybe both of them, I told you all that the next video I post would be on camera with me taking the breath test. That video is still coming, right? Just letting you know that this one is coming first. This video is being posted first because, unfortunately, like I said, some things occurred that I felt like I needed to document and defend myself. Just articulation, refutation, documentation, the usual. But again, trying not to make too many of these videos, especially as it pertains to work. It was just, two things that happened that I absolutely felt like I needed to defend myself about. And so that's what you're going to hear in the next few clips, y'all. And then the next video, if the Most High spares my life, will be with me on camera when I get the laptop, taking that live breath test. So I will talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out. Hey. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, as well as links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program. information about the technology used on targets, tactics used on targets, and just info about the targeted individual program in general. Documentation about my experience with the targeting, etc. I share a plethora of info on this channel, y'all. And the pertinent videos I've made sure to link, like I said, in the description box and comment section. So please check it out, y'all. I'm not putting it there for GP. I'm not putting it there for style. I'm putting it there to help out other targets because, of course, I can empathize with you. Again, I was targeted since 2020, but I did not learn I was a target until the end of 2022. And if you listen to my story, you'll hear how that happened. So like I said, there are some video links, different options that you can choose from in the description box and comment section where I talk about what started my targeting and I tell my story. You can pick from one of those videos where I tell my story. There are several options. One is a 11-hour, 7-part video compilation where I'm actually on camera telling my whole life story. And then there are other videos, other versions of the story, same info, but condensed, and I'm not on camera. So take your pick, y'all, and listen to my story, please. But don't just start here and don't start at these newer videos. Please listen to at least my story so you can be up to date with the things I talk about, because I do often reference things and situations, etc. from my story, things I've talked about in prior videos. But yeah, y'all, I've been targeted since 2020, but I didn't learn that I was a target until the end of 2022. And that was when I started making these videos. And that was when I started doing research and learning the things that I know now. You know, had I known some of the things that you heard the Rev campaign in the background, right? Anyway, had I known, there's always a live audience. I'm sure you know that by now if you're targeted. Or if you're one of those newer targets, I'm sure you're learning that. Anyway, but yeah, they're just trying to distract me. They don't like when I'm articulate and when I share info. It's just this weird thing. This is how this crazy thing works. But trust me, I definitely want to share the info and help other targets because, like I said, I can empathize. Had I known some of the things that I know now when my targeting first started, it would have never gotten as bad as it did, and it wouldn't have gone viral the way that it did because my targeting went viral, y'all. So it's just a lot of stuff going on, you know. I have a very interesting story. Targeting is something that's unique in and of itself. It's amping up, you know, ever since Obama was in office and signed the BRAIN initiative. Targeting has increased in America, but it's something that happens worldwide, and it's something that's been happening for decades. Okay. It's just amping up now, and there are some agendas behind it. You know, I learned a lot of stuff, y'all, but it's still something that's unique. So even though there are millions of targets out there, and it's something that seems to be amping up in recent times, it's still not a common thing. You know, it's not like, you know, it's not like everyone knows what this is, you know, or has encountered this program. I didn't even know what it was. Like I said, prior to 2020, I had never heard about targeting prior to 2022. Because again, the targeting started in 2020, but I didn't learn I was a target until 2022, right? End of 2022. Prior to 2022, I had never heard about it. If I did, it didn't register. You know, I didn't realize that that's what I was hearing about. You know how sometimes you might come across some info and just kind of, you know, it's not important to you. It's not relevant. So you don't really soak in the info. It's just like, okay, this thing, and you scrape over it. I believe something like that might have happened because there's been many times in the past prior to my targeting where I've seen videos about schizophrenics, and, you know, I'm realizing now I've probably seen videos about targets and thought they were crazy, you know. You just didn't realize you don't learn about this thing until you either become a target, become a witness, so somebody that's seeing what's going on and privy to the situation, right? Or become a gang stalker where you're actively getting involved and targeting and gaslighting and involving yourself in the torture of the target. So it's one of those three things. Is, you know, if it's the latter, then, you know, I guess I don't want to say you're fortunate because I wouldn't ever want to be a gang stalker. But you know, it's better than being a target, I don't know, man. I don't know what's worse, really, because I wouldn't ever want to be a gang stalker. But being a target sucks too, obviously. Your whole life is impeded and turned upside down. And then if you do make some progress like me, which is a blessing, things have gotten a lot better for me. You're still dealing with it, man. You're still going through it. You're still dealing with the stalking. You're still dealing with sensitization. You're still dealing with being watched on camera, surveillance, lack of privacy. Certain areas in your life still impeded, even if other parts have gotten better. Because I've seen how with some targets, like me, things got better for them, but they're still targeted. And then I've seen some targets that didn't get better and it just got worse, because they didn't learn how to operate in this thing. And so they had these stupid reactions and just kept digging a deeper hole for themselves. And then I've seen targets that actually got out of this shit. I'm trying to get the heck up out of this thing, man. I'm trying to figure this thing out, man. Anyway, y'all, my head is hurting. I'm sorry. I'm tired. If y'all have checked out my recent videos, you'll know that I'm now working 2 jobs. So I'm doing security at night, and during the daytime, I'm working for 9 hours. I'm a cadet in training to become a corrections officer. It still makes me smile because I feel good about it. It's like that's part of the improvement in my life, considering how things were last year. But it's still rough, man. I'm still dealing with it. I'm still dealing with targeting. I'm still dealing with being stared at on camera. I'm still dealing with neuromonitoring. So my thoughts being projected to all of those people around me, no matter where I go. And of course, that makes work difficult, because the night shift, it's just me. I have a post. It's me, myself, and I, right? You have, of course, gang stalkers on the road and around watching, but it's not like you're actually in the same vicinity as co-workers, like how it is in the daytime when I'm working during the daytime. So that's really been what's been difficult about the new job, more than anything else. Nothing else, really. If it weren't for the targeting, this job would have been definitely something that I would have enjoyed doing. And it still is going to be when I get past the phase I'm at. I talked about this in my prior videos, y'all. So check out my recent videos if you want to hear some info about the new job and what my experience has been so far. But like I said, I'm in training. I'm a cadet training to become a corrections officer. And as a cadet, I have to shadow correction officers. So for the 9 hours, I have to sit up underneath somebody. It's kind of like they're babysitting me. And so that's what's made it rough with the neuromonitoring and the being watched on camera. And that's really what's made it difficult. In addition to the fact that I'm an introvert. I've never been good at socializing, but it's like I've regressed due to the targeting, and this being stared at and the judgment, and it's just rough. I'm not gonna lie. I've said it in those last videos. It's not like I can't do the job. I can. And I'm grateful for the job, and I intend to keep going and keep doing what I need to do. But it's difficult. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It's difficult. Anyways, so speaking of which, y'all, I do want to talk about something that happened at work yesterday and today, as a matter of fact. And y'all gonna be like, is she talking about work again? Like, I thought you said in those last videos you weren't making any more videos about work. But it's like these things happen. I keep talking about it with these videos because I get gaslit about making these videos, and not specifically about work. Just in general, they gaslight me about making the videos and saying I keep talking about people, or why does she keep talking? And it's gaslighting, because if I don't, and I have these reactions due to PTSD, trauma, sensitization, etc., they run with the reaction. And then the targeting shifts, and then, it's just this weird thing. Like, I constantly feel like I need to come on these videos and defend myself, because if I don't, then they'll run with these reactions that I'm having on a day-to-day basis, and not necessarily just anxious reactions or, awkward reactions, even angry reactions. Something happened in the gym just now. Another thing I know they'll probably likely, gaslight me about if I don't make a video about it. Monster bitch at it again. I can already hear it. Anyway, y'all, let me catch myself. Let me listen to what I said so far, because I am tired. That's the good thing, though, about being a cadet, y'all. It's a government job, right? So you know what? A lot of government jobs, you get holidays off. You get the holidays off. Like when I was a teacher, we used to get all the holidays off. That was nice, right? You get paid holiday. With the correction officer job, you're somewhat of an essential worker. So the jail keeps functioning, holiday or not. The jail is going to keep going, right? So they need workers there to maintain the facility. So as a corrections officer, even if it's a government job, I wouldn't be getting the holiday off. I would be going to work. But because I'm a cadet in training, the cadets get the holidays. So I get a whole week off, y'all. I'm so grateful. I'm tired, working these 2 jobs. I need to catch some rest. I let my brain just recuperate, man. But so I'm still tired though, y'all. This is my first day off. I had half day today, and I don't go back to work until next Tuesday. And today is Tuesday, so I get 6.5 days off, something like that. So I'm happy about that, y'all. But anyways, I'm tired, so let me stop and listen to what I've said so far, and then I'm gonna come back and finish the video. I'll be back. Okay, y'all. So, all right, listen to what I had to say. Yeah, y'all. So long story short, I do have basically a week off from the day job, and I'll just be doing the night job. So I get time to recuperate, let my brain reset, etc. But that's what this video is about, y'all. Just more documentation about some things that happen at work, PTSD, sensitization, trauma responses. And then, it feels like getting gaslit about these trauma responses, and not necessarily at work specifically, but just with the targeting in general. Everywhere I go, I'm targeted. So even when I leave work, I'm dealing with gang stalking, etc. Same thing I talked about in those last videos when I talked about work again. Whenever these things are happening at work, whatever is happening, even if it's a good day, everybody on island's watching. It's like a freaking reality TV show, or a poppy show is what it is. That's why I wrote the poem Showtime, and I said turn the show off, because constantly, they keep gaslighting me too, and the targeting and insinuating that I'm a narcissist or a show off, etc. And I broke that down in several videos. You check out my narcissism video, y'all. I've broke it down in several videos. I've refuted it, first of all, because with the personality I have, that's contradictory to what a narcissist is. Narcissists are social butterflies. They're gregarious people. They have large social networks, right? And they have very superficial relationships with the people around them. And they have many connections, mostly superficial, but nonetheless many connections. I'm a loner. I'm not really, now that I'm targeted, I'm a loner. Prior to my targeting, I had friends, and obviously I was close with my family, but I've always kept a small circle of people around me, and those connections are long-lasting connections and typically deep ones. In addition to the fact that I'm socially inept, I have Asperger's, and I'm introverted, and it's only gotten worse since I've been targeted. Like I said, it's almost like I've regressed. So I don't even share the characteristics of your classic narcissist, so it doesn't even add up that I would be narcissistic. It's oxymoronic to call me that, and then also it's gaslighting, because it's reactive abuse. Me acting like this pig-headed showboat type person is my way of bucking back to being constantly torn down, judged, and having these false narratives swirl around about me. And so I broke it down in that video, y'all. My narcissist. If you scroll down, I don't think that's one of the links included in the description box and comment section. But if you scroll down through my videos, you'll see a video. Let me scroll there now. This video where the thumbnail says narcissism, and then the title says the universal use of the moniker, so name, narcissist, or term narcissist, on the targeted individual, because I noticed that many targets get called that, not just me, because it's the disposition that's created when they're constantly focusing on you, and it's so many people focusing on you all the time and giving you all this attention. That's low-key creating like this narcissistic disposition in the target, because you're creating a sense of importance. Even if it's being done in a malicious way, you are creating a sense of importance. So the target starts to feel important, which will create that narcissistic disposition. Then also you're typically bullying the target and antagonizing the target. So oftentimes the reaction to that is to be like, well, they're haters. They're hating on me. I've talked about this in prior videos. And although it's not hating, it's just tactics used on all targets, it feels that way. So they're all focusing on you, and then you have certain people, not everyone, like I said, not everyone gets involved at that level, insinuating horrible things or doing malicious things. You start to feel like, well, I know I'm the shit. Not to use that word, but I know I'm all that. They're haters. They're hating on me. I've seen so many targets using the word haters. They're all jealous of me. And then they get gaslit about that reaction and called a narcissist. So check out that narcissism video, y'all. I talked about it in depth in that video. I'm not about to go over that right now again. But that's what creates that disposition and that, that show off and make you want to be the best that you can be. And then when you do actually start improving, start feeling yourself and smelling your ass because of them and the tactics they're using. And it's like, then they gaslight you and call you a narcissist. Anyway, the next thing, goodness, I lost my train of thought, y'all. Damn, the ADD, shit. So, oh God, let me stop the video and come back, y'all. Oh my God, this is the last time I'm gonna do that. I'm tired. I'm gonna come back and finish this video for real. Anyway, y'all, I remember where I was at, so I kind of went off on a tangent. I was just talking about the poem. I said it was called Showtime. That's not what it's called. It's called Show Off. Let me scroll there real quick. This poem that I made 2 months ago, you see that says Show Off. I think they're shadow banning it, y'all, because I see it only got 1 like, but it has 205 views. It's actually one of my most viewed poems. And most of my poems get a few likes, so for this one to have only 1 like, and you could see the copyright struck it. Similar to what I was talking about with the last poem I posted, Jack of All Trades. But as you can see, it's still public, so everyone can view it. But I noticed they'll shadow banned some of my stuff where it's public and it says everyone can view it, but I think they somehow create it. I think they somehow buffer it. It's called shadow banning. Look into that, where they make it so that it's not viewable to everyone. And then also, they affect the likes. Like someone might like it and the like won't show. And I think they purposely did that because the song's called Show Off, and they think they're constantly gaslighting me and, trying to make it seem like I'm a narcissist and a show off. So anyways, I did wordplay with that poem and I called it Show Off, like turn the show off, because this is like a show. Like I told you, it's like a reality TV show and my life is being projected. I feel like a freak show. And so you're calling me a show off when, again, that's gaslighting. And in the poem, I'm saying I wish they would turn the show off, because if they would turn it off, then I can't show off. Nobody can see what I'm doing, and you won't have to see me acting like this pig-headed whatever that grinds people's gears. I'm acting like that, like I said, in reaction to what's been happening to me. But I just wish they would turn to show off. So I used wordplay with that poem. But that's what I was referencing. And I went off on a tangent and started talking about narcissism and the gaslighting, etc., etc. Anyway, let me scroll back up to the top. So anyways, y'all, let's talk about what happened today, though. Let's get to the point of the video. I don't want this to be a super long video. So in several of these videos, y'all, I've talked about reactive abuse, sensitization, programming, and, the perpetuating of false narratives. It happens to all targets. Every target story is unique and different, right? You have your different things that they're sensitizing you to, right? And the things that they project onto you. Specifically with my targeting, if you've kept up with my story, you'll know the false narratives that they've thrown at me. There have been many, right? Really horrible stuff. And the theme of my targeting is bearing false witness. Not going to go into any more detail than that. You have to listen to my story and you have to be up to date with these videos to know what's going on. I don't want to repetitively repeat things. But that's what it is. That's why they're throwing all these false narratives at me. So, it's like painting it like I'm a homewrecker. They've insinuated I'm a prostitute. They've insinuated that I stink. They've insinuated that I'm a hoe, a loose female. Look, the plane flying by for hoe. That's crazy. The noise campaign plane? Listen, y'all. Anyway, not true, y'all. They've insinuated all kinds of horrible stuff, y'all. Just like witchcraft, the worst one, the main false narrative that's created the targeting, predator, like somebody that preys on children, like just the worst, the most gnarliest, lowest, horrible things you could think of, they've thrown at me. It's like if I did everything that they've thrown at me, Yah forbid, right? I would be like the worst thing walking on earth, and that's how they try to make you feel in the targeting. It's just like vilification of your character. And with me specifically, they're doing that again because the theme of my targeting is bearing false witness. And if you listen to my story, you'll hear that any false accusation that I did make, or false insinuation, because really it's been insinuations. I've only bared false witness once technically, if you listen to my story. But any of those insinuations, they were all, things I truly believed at the time. And it wasn't many. It was like 3. And there was no malicious intent behind it. Like what's happening in my targeting, where they're like maliciously throwing like horrible stuff at me and like literally like, a lot of them pretending like this, whatever the false narrative is at the time is true. Like they're literally making it my reality. We've talked about this before in this video. This video from 10 months ago, part 3 example of shadow networking, right? And remember, y'all, I told y'all at the beginning, in the description box and comment section, there are links that lead to videos that tell my story. So different video options telling what started my targeting and my story. And then there are links that lead to information about the technology used on targets, tactics, etc. The shadow networking is a technology they use on targets. It's AI. And I've talked about it in many videos. I have a bunch of example videos showing you all it being used on me and other targets. This part 3 video is one of those videos. And I don't want to redundantly again talk about the shadow networking because I've talked about it in so many videos. In addition to the fact that I have these example videos where I show you, it being used on me. But it's basically targeting through the TV, where they're using AI to hack all of your technological devices, and they can manipulate media, like actual real TV shows. They can change it in real time, make it look like people are wearing stuff they're not wearing, use the AI to make it look like they're saying things they're not saying, sending you videos with sensitization in it, in your news feed on, for instance, YouTube, and you're recommended, things like that. And so in this video, I was showing y'all examples of how they were using it on another target. And just kind of comparing what they were doing to him to what they do to me and how relative it was. And then also in that video, just showing you how they paint these false narratives about targets, and over exaggerate too. And it's like a form of bullying and humiliation. It's a humiliation tactic because constantly you're being watched. I heard noise in the background when I said that. But constantly you're being watched by all of these people. So already this is humiliating enough that you don't have privacy. And then you're being bullied through the technology. They be roasting the hell out of you with the technology sometimes, and so you're getting roasted and then all these people staring at you. And so you're, of course you get this stupid look on your face or this embarrassed look on your face. It's just a humiliation tactic. I would compare it to being roasted at a comedy show. Like, if you went to a comedy show and you're in the crowd, right? And you have the comedian on stage and he decides to hone in on you and starts going in on you and roasting the hell out of what you're wearing or how you look, whatever, and the crowd is going wild and laughing and watching you, and then they put the low spotlight on you while the comedian is roasting you. Like, for instance, if you've seen Dr. Dolittle, this is from the 90s. Millennials know about this show. The younger folks might not know about it. But Dr. Dolittle, not Dr. Dolittle, the Nutty Professor, sorry, where he went to the comedy show with Jada Pinkett, and they had the comedian on the stage, and the comedian saw him and started going in on him. Bad example, what some of the stuff that's going on with my targeting, but that's what popped in my mind when I said what I was saying. But just any comedian show where they, where the comedian, the reason I got bastard, y'all, is because that's another false narrative they started spinning. If you listen to my last video, you'll know what I'm talking about. We're, making it seem like I've said things I haven't said, just horrible stuff, man. And so when I thought about that show and the type of roast, what was being said in that roast, I realized bad example right now with what's going on with me. But that's, just whatever. That's an example. That's kind of what it feels like with the targeting. You're being stared at by all these people. Even if you can't visibly see them, you can hear them in the background, the noise campaign, like the neighbors. And everyone in my case on island is watching. And then they're roasting me. They're watching me watch, these shows on my phone, my YouTube. I click on a video on my recommended, and they're using the shadow networking to, roast someone on video. But you can tell that the roast is directed towards you. It's like subliminal messaging. And that's what they do with the AI shadow networking, painting false narratives, tearing down the target, trying to tear down your self-esteem and humiliate you. It's a tactic. It was a very comprehensive tactic until I knocked it down in these videos. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. That's why I do these videos, man. It doesn't work anymore. That thing was working on me good last year. They used to be roasting the hell out of me through these videos, and I would be looking anxious and embarrassed, and all these people around watching. That's what it is. That's one of the main tactics they use. Anyway, but they also use it to paint. Sorry, y'all, I just ate, and so I'm full, and so It's kind of coming up. I told y'all I have acid reflux. My bad. But they use it to paint false narratives. Like I said, over exaggerate, humiliate the target, but also paint false narratives specifically with me, because that, again, is the theme of my targeting. They're purposely pushing all these false things at me, but they do it with all targets. It's just specifically with me. It's like, it's almost worse because that's like the theme of my targeting. And so I was just showing y'all in this video how they were doing it to another target. And I was just talking about how they're able to like create these false realities for you. Like, for instance, if you're somebody that smells good and you're always bathing and washing your clothes all the damn time and making sure you're wearing deodorant and brushing your teeth and flossing and washing your mouth and spraying on perfume and putting on lotion, nice smelling lotion, and you smell amazing, but you're going around people and everyone that you go around is pinching their nose and acting like you're the stinkiest thing walking, even if it's not true, that becomes your reality, because the saying the majority rules didn't come out of thin air. That's a real thing. You know, the majority does rule. And so if everyone around you starts projecting this false narrative that you stink, even if you smell as good as you want to smell, you become the stink girl. That becomes your reality. And so they can actually change your reality. I mean, of course, you know you smell good, but that still becomes your reality. You become the stink girl. If they all start pretending like you stink, you stink. You're the stink girl. That's just how that works. And that's how it works at the targeting. They all push these, and when I say they all, it's not everyone, but enough people, the majority, push a false narrative, whatever that false narrative may be about the target, and that becomes your reality, whether it's true or not, because they're all making it your reality. You live in the world with them. They live in the world with you. We all share the world together, right? And if they're all pretending like something's true, we share one reality. Even if our perception is different, we share one reality. So if the majority is pushing this false narrative, then that becomes the reality, even if it's not true. And so that's how it works. And it's very, very comprehensive. That's how targeting works. It's gaslighting, painting of false narratives, the collective coming together collaboratively to sometimes malign the target or paint false narratives, whatever it is. And that's just how that works. Anyways, I forgot. Oh my God. Again? No, man. Let me scroll up, y'all. There's a reason why. I was just talking about the shadow networking technology and how the sensitization. That's what I was talking about, right? How they sensitize you and program your brain, 24/7 through the technology, because this is the technological age. Let's keep it real. That's what we do most of the time if we're not at work, or even if you're at work, oftentimes you might be on your phone using your technology, watching videos, surfing the net, on social media. This is the technological age. This is what we do. And so constantly, if they're manipulating the technology and throwing these false narratives at you, your brain is getting programmed. It's MK ultra programming. This is an actual tactic. It's the same thing they use with ads. I've said it a million times, and there's a reason why I keep saying it, because just like how they're programming me, I want to program what's true into the space. So it's understood you're programming all these false narratives at me, and it's like slowly but surely kind of becoming my reality and pushing into my brain. And so I want to push back and counteract what's happening and let y'all know that I know that this is programming. It's programming. And so I'm now programming the truth by constantly saying what I'm saying and pushing it out there, that this is programming. It's the same thing like with what they do with ads. It's the same concept, like when you go to the movie theater and, let's say every 30 minutes they put an ad on, right? It doesn't happen every 30 minutes, but maybe twice while you're watching the movie. They might pop some ads on about, like popcorn, soda, whatever. And then it pops in your head while you're watching a movie, and you don't put two and two together that it was that ad that breezed across the screen. You didn't realize you got programmed in that moment. And so it's kind of the same thing where, with the sensitization and the programming of your brain and sensitizing you to certain things, you start to have trauma responses to the things that they're sensitizing you to. So for me, it's children. I've said this in females. I've said this in several videos. Since last year, I've been saying it. Even before I started working this day job, I feel sensitized to children and females, specifically because of the initial false narrative that created targeting, the horrible narrative that was created from the text message. And it really didn't turn into, look, I'm getting weird now. I'm starting to twitch just talking about it. Like, that's how traumatized I am. And it didn't even really turn into, what it turned into until I tried to relocate in 2022. And I went through some of the traumatic experiences that I went through in Indiana, Florida, Tennessee. That little road trip I took when I was trying to relocate off island, prior to knowing that I was a target and prior to knowing that the thing would follow me. And prior to the thing going viral. When it went viral and I went through those traumatic experiences in the States, in the mainland in 2022, I came home a changed person and traumatized, PTSD, etc., having reactions to things I didn't react to before, like not even being able to stand next to a female without my body trembling. I'm so much better now than what I was last year, how traumatized I was last year from what happened to me when I tried to relocate off island. But I'm still not 100% better. I'm very awkward when it comes to women. I'm very awkward when it comes to children. I'm a woman myself. I have the same thing you have. I've been a woman my whole life. I have a menstrual cycle. I have titties. I have a butt. I'm a female. But it's still like I'm completely sensitized to women. I feel so uncomfortable around them, right? And it just depends on the environment and the space and who's around, and it's all of that plays a part in things too, on how awkward I'm gonna be in the moment, right? Anyways, y'all, let me catch my breath. I don't think they're humming at me. I'm not hearing the hum, but still feeling winded. I did eat just now, right? So this is one of those videos where I keep pausing and coming back, but it's not going to seem like a pause. Obviously when I cut the clip off, I come back, it's like a, not even a full second, right? But I keep stopping the video and then coming back, right? So I will stop the video. I'm going to come back. I have to catch myself. It's difficult too, because with the targeting, you even have family members that are against you. Like, it's really crazy when you get targeted. Like, you have so much people against you. Like, it's like your whole reality changes when this thing happens to you. It's like a wake up call, like the Matrix. You waking up like you took the red pill. Anyways, so I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna come back. I said that for a reason. I heard noise campaign in the background. I didn't just, that wasn't random, even though it sounded random. Anyway, so let me catch my breath, y'all, though, because I did just eat. Catch myself. I'm gonna come back, and for sure, when I come back, I'm gonna finish this video. Look, y'all, the plane flying by as soon as I go to start the video. They know what I'm saying makes sense. This is always the case. They know what these videos, whenever I do pull out and I pull up the energy, pull together the strength to put these videos together, because it drains a lot of me doing all this talking, y'all, and making sure I articulate and say everything that needs to be said. It's exhausting, especially these days, with me working as much as I work now and still finding time to work out in the gym, man, y'all, I be tired. That's why I don't be pumping out videos like before. And also, like I said, I can't really be making videos about the day job like that. But there are certain things that happen like yesterday and today, or in the prior videos that I made, where it's just like, I absolutely need to talk about this. Like, I have to defend myself. There's a couple corrections I wanted to make. First of all, I said ad. I keep doing that. It's an ad. Poor grammar. Also, I said so much people get involved. I meant to say so many people get involved. And then another thing too, I just hopping back to what I was talking about. I'm going to get back to where I was at in the last clip with the whole thing. I mean, obviously it's a fake narrative. There are all these fake narratives going around, right, about me. They're doing it purposefully. I'm not stupid. It's tactics that are being used. But with the whole thing, they flew the plane by. Out of all the things I was saying just now when I was listing out, the things that they've thrown at me, they flew the plane by for the whole thing. I have no idea why. I think they feel like that gets under my skin or something. I am 33, right? I'm a 33-year-old woman. Yeah, I have experience. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I do have experience. I'm a grown woman. But compared to, I think people my age or even younger, I am really not, I haven't, listen, I've had 7 partners in my life. That's a funny thing. They say like, oh, you're, like they gaslight me. Like they'll make it seem like I talk too much or I say too much. Or then they'll contradict themselves and say that I'm closed off and I'm not being deep enough or opening myself up enough. It's just like a bunch of stupidness, really. But I'm a very private person. And prior to my targeting, it took a lot to get info out of me. Even the people that were close to me, my sisters, like they had to wait until I'm ready to divulge information. That's how that went. And they always used to laugh about that because they're like spilling their business out to me. And when I'm ready, I'll give them little tidbits here and there. When I'm ready, I tell them stuff. I'm a very private person, but with the targeting, everybody's in your business, every part of your business. They're painting false narratives. So this is where I became an open book. I'm like, well, let me actually paint the correct narrative. I'm 33. I just made 33 December 22nd, right? A few days ago. I've only had 7 partners in my life, and one was not consensual. One was that incident I talked about in my videos where I woke up and the guy was doing whatever when I was in my early 20s, and I had that moment where I got blackout drunk, right? I talked about this. And that's the only time in my life that I was blackout drunk and couldn't account for what had happened to me sexually. That was the only time that's ever happened to me. Thank the Most High. But anyways, that's what happened. I woke up and the guy was doing whatever. I know you have to listen to my videos, y'all, to hear about it. That happened like damn near a decade ago now at this point. I think I was actually, 23 when it happened, 23 or 24. And I'm 33 now. So it was about a decade ago when the thing happened. But anyway, he's the only non-consensual encounter that I've had. I've only had 6 partners and I'm 33. You know, I'm not trying to like toot my horn or brag or anything. Not to say that's a little bit. There are women that's only had one partner and they married that partner, like my mom, and has been with that partner for their whole life. But that's so rare in this day and age. Like, it's a liberal time now. You know, times are changing. I'm not judging anybody. Even if you've had over 100 partners, I'm not saying I'm better than you and I'm not judging you. We all have a different path that we choose to walk, and everybody lives their life the way they want to live it. If you want to have a different partner every night, do you. That's you. I'm not judging you at all. That's not what I'm doing, because I like to paint it like I'm a judgmental person. But I'm just saying it's so hilarious to me when they paint the whole narrative when that's like so polar to what's the truth. Like, I've only had 6 partners and I could have had more, but I chose not to. I'm very selective, and it's just, no, it's not what they're trying to, it's not. I just think it's hilarious. Anyway, 7 partners because of the rape thing, but I mean 6 consensual partners, and I don't like that number, but that's really the number. Anyway, so I just wanted to say that because I couldn't believe the plane flew by for that. I just thought that was hilarious. But back to the other stuff now, y'all. Back to what I was saying about the programming, though. Getting back to where I was at the end of the last clip. So similar to like what they do with ads where they, you know, program whatever into your head to get you to buy whatever, right? To get the thing to pop in your head. It's similar to what happens with the shadow networking software where they're pushing whatever false narrative or whatever sensitization they're trying to sensitize you to. Again, with me, it's the text message, the initial text message that I sent that created the false narrative, you know, the predator stupidness, right? They're constantly pushing that thing at me. And then also too, now there's an element of trauma and PTSD because of what happened to me when I tried to relocate in 2022. So I'm traumatized from something physically that happened to me, several things physically that happened to me when I tried to relocate. And then now also programming. Now that I'm back, you know, just for the last 2 years, just straight programming, nonstop, way more invasive than just a couple ads throwing up on the screen, watching a movie. It's way more invasive, where they're constantly throwing the word predator or, you know, sexual assault, or, you know, just horrible stuff. I'm not even gay, y'all. I like men. This is the crazy. I'm not even attracted to females, but they're pushing this thing at me constantly. Like, I like women, and I don't have a problem with people that are homosexual. If that's your lifestyle, no problem. I've had many friends in the past that were homosexual. I don't have a problem with that, right? I don't have a problem. I'm not judging you, but that's not me. That's not the life I chose to live. I'm a tomboy. I'm not going to change, I keep saying this, my personality to suit you, right? Or to make you feel better or not have this preconceived notion of who you think I am. I've always been this way. I'm not going to change now. I've always played basketball. I've always played sports. I've always liked working out. I've always liked getting dirty and going out in the mud and whatever with the noise campaign about getting dirty. Going out in the mud and playing with the grass. And I grew up in a board house, kind of living off grid, you know, on a fruit tree land, climbing the tree like a wild girl. I grew up like that, like Tarzan. Not like Tarzan, that's an over exaggeration, but like that kind of lifestyle for real. And that's how I am. I'm not going to change now because they feel like I'm not feminine enough. Like, or, you know, you feel like I'm too much of a alpha female. And I'm not an alpha, by the way, y'all. I'm not an alpha. I'm a sigma, because they keep throwing that at me too. Because they see how strong I am mentally and physically. And they think I'm an alpha. If they were really observant, they'd realize I'm a sigma. I'm a Sigma female, which is like the introverted alpha. So you're more of like the introverted loner type. Not really a loner. Like I said, that's now that I'm targeted. Prior to my targeting, I had friends. I hung out with my sisters, very normal, but still not that gregarious, out there making connections with everybody's social butterfly. I've never been that girl. I've never been that girl. And I'm not going to turn into that now because I'm targeted. So I'm a Sigma female. That's what I am. I'm strong physically. I'm strong mentally. I can lead the pack if I want to, but I choose not to. I'm more of a stay to myself type of female. I'm a Sigma female. But I'm not going to change those characteristics about myself because it's offensive to somebody. As long as I'm not being disrespectful. If I'm super independent, then that's just how I am. That's how I always have been. If I seem a little rough around the edges or I'm not frilly and girly, that's just how I am. That's how I always have been. That doesn't mean I don't like men. I do. Trust me. Anyways, and no, I'm not thirsty either, because that's the other stupid narrative they like to paint. They contradict themselves with the stuff they throw at me, Like, they contradict themselves like crazy with the stuff they be throwing at me. Anyway, so it's just constant programming though, y'all, with the technology. And even in person, constantly, people like go around using the word touch. It's like this joke thing now. It's turned into this joke thing, but there's real trauma there. I'm really traumatized from some of the things I went through. And then for 2 years straight, the thing was being thrown at me and still programmed into my brain with the technology, constantly throwing predator and touch and, this weird thing like that, and weird and strange. And you constantly throwing that at somebody and then expect them not to act awkward when they get around the sensitization. That's ludicrous to think that that's not going to happen, especially somebody that's introverted and awkward as it is. I've always been awkward. Throughout the years, I kind of learned how to assimilate and grow out of it in a way. But I've always still been introverted. Even when I learned how to come out my shell a little bit, I became a teacher and all this, I still have always been like more soft-spoken, introverted. And then now this spotlight on me and all this judgment of false narratives and programming and this and that. Like, it's a mess. Prior to leaving Island or trying to relocate in 2022, when I was still teaching, I used to hug my students. Young females, high schoolers. I was around them. My body wasn't trembling and twitching. They used to, in the hallways, Miss Nurse, running up to me, hugging me. I was giving them hugs. Now I'm back on Island. I can't even stand next to a female my age without feeling discomfort. It's crazy what's happening now. Anyway, so it's just this off and on thing, right? Like with the reactions, it just depends, like I said, on the environment. So yesterday, they put me in this location in the jail, right? There are different, I can't say too much, right? Because I'm not really supposed to make videos, like I said, about the jail, right? But they have different areas. I talked about this in prior videos. When you actually become a CO, a corrections officer, you're stationed somewhere for the day, right? You have a role for the day. So it might be that you're, like a victor, which means you're walking up and down throughout the facility, transporting inmates back and forth, stuff like that. It's more, what's the word I'm looking for? You're on the go, you're moving, right? So it's not sedentary like some of the other roles that you might be tasked, right? Like, for instance, you might get put over a unit. That's more of a sedentary position. Yeah, you get up and you're moving back and forth. You have to get up and, do your little patrols throughout the cell and the cells and stuff, right? And you have to go in your unit and make sure everything's okay, right? It's not like you sit on your ass all day. Of course not. But it's not the same thing as a victor that's moving throughout the prison, throughout the facility all day long. So you have different places that you're stationed as a corrections officer. And it's you and your inmates, right? Of course, you communicate through the radio with your coworkers. This is how things move through the prison smoothly, and how we keep track of all the inmates. Communication through the walkie-talkie or the radio, right? They don't like you saying walkie-talkie, through the radio. But that's as far as the buck goes. That communication happens, yes, but you have your own independent role when you become a corrections officer, and you're put in a specific position for the day, and that's what you're doing. But me as a cadet, as I said in the last video, I'm not there yet. So I have to sit up underneath somebody all day long for 9 hours straight. It's a 9-hour shift. I'm not complaining. I need the hours. I'm glad for the job. I'm not complaining. But it's difficult as a target, with my thoughts being projected and cameras on me and everyone staring at me. And then I'm sensitized too. It's very awkward and uncomfortable. And then I'm somebody that's never been like a social butterfly. It took me years just to even learn how to socialize and be able to function and break out of my shell. It took me years. And it's like regression from the targeting and trauma. And then the element of, some people not liking you because certain things you've said out of anger due to the targeting, and you offended certain people. Like, it's not easy. It's difficult. I said this already in my last video. So anyways, I'm doing it though. I'm not complaining. I want the job. Obviously, if I didn't want it, I would have stopped going. Like, some people probably wouldn't have been strong enough to go with, all the stuff happening, the cameras on you, your thoughts ticking into everybody's head, and, people saying stuff or maybe not caring for you as a person. Like, some people would have been like, nah, I can't do this. Like, that's not me. I'm not the quit kind. I'm not the give up kind, and I want the job. So I'm going to keep going. But it's hard. I'm struggling. It's rough, especially this portion where I'm a cadet and I have to sit up underneath somebody for 9 hours. It's difficult. Feels like I said this already in the last video. It feels like the stepchild, it's getting thrown around for the day. Like, oh God, who got to babysit the stepchild today? The rookie, the targeted rookie, not just the rookie, the targeted rookie. Who got her today? Because whoever has me for the day also has to deal with these cameras that's on me. It's on them too. And they have to deal with my thoughts pushing in their head for 9 hours straight. So you have to understand the burden that puts on me, because then now I care what people think. I always have been that way. I'm now feeling like, oh my God, now, oh boy, to put me with this person. Now I'm burdening this person. This person has to hear my thoughts and they have to deal with my situation. Like, it's just like, I just want to get past this part and let them put me in my role. I just want to get past this part so bad. Anyway, so anyways, y'all, so yesterday they put me in. I've been in this place with this lady that they put me with yesterday. I've been there twice. Now, yesterday was my third time. They put me in this location in the prison where it's not like a unit where you're in like this office space with the person, but then there's another office space nearby where another officer is, and then you have, of course, all the inmates right outside the glass, because it's a unit. This location where they put me, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's still on the facility, it's still in the jail, but it's separate to the other buildings, and it's this, upstairs building office space where it's just me and the female in the office, right? And so that creates a sense of discomfort for me, because I know all these people are staring at me. There's no one else around. So I'm in the office space with this lady by herself, which obviously wouldn't be a problem typically, but I'm sensitized and I'm traumatized, and I know I'm being stared at, and I just feel awkward and uncomfortable. I'm just being honest with you. I've worked office jobs my whole life. Many teaching jobs, many secretarial jobs, many call center jobs. I've been in office spaces with females by myself many times before. But now I'm targeted, and there's a level of trauma and PTSD there. And then also too, I'm very aware of the fact that I'm being stared at. They're constantly engaging with the noise campaign. They're doing the birds in the background. I have a coloring book I take to work with me for the downtime. Those times where, we've dealt with the unit and we're sitting there now just monitoring, and we're sitting there. Some people go on the computer and, you still have to keep your head up and monitor. But, just to pass the time, I brought a coloring book. I'm not allowed to bring my phone into the facility. I'm a cadet. So technically no one's supposed to bring their phone in, but it's like this unspoken rule. I can't say too much. Let me just not talk about that. But I'm at the space where I can't bring anything in. So I just bring in a coloring book, and I shade in my little coloring book to pass the time, right? And try to distract my mind so it's not ticking and just stupidness popping in my head from programming and sitting around sensitization or whatever it is. So I'm, the other day I was not talking about yesterday, and I'm going off on a tangent, but just trying to explain to you how they keep reminding me I'm being stared at, right? I'm sitting there, I'm coloring in the coloring book. I get to a part where I'm coloring in, one of the children in the book. I'm coloring in the child's tongue. They start flying the flyby in my face when I'm coloring the child's tongue in. I know that sounds disgusting or whatever, but this is what they're doing. Things like that, and sensitizing me like that. Sending weird stuff with the technology, weird, creepy stuff. It's just programming, and it's just a sense of discomfort. You just want to hide under a rock. It just makes you you just feel so traumatized with the programming, with some of the stuff they'd sensitize you to. It was even like, I forgot what I was going to say. There was something else I was going to say about the programming and the sensitization. There was something else I was going to say about it. There was something else other than that creepy thing. It was something else too that I wanted to talk about. My God, I forgot, and I really wanted to talk about this too. Anyway, it's just constant programming and sensitization. And it's kind of like for them, it's turned into a joke, throwing this stuff at me and like certain narratives and stuff. But for me, I'm like completely traumatized. Like it's so creepy to me, and it's just made me feel that's what I want to talk about. I remember that I was, again, trying to mock and jeer with the technology. They sent me this man that had been in prison for years, like I think 2 decades, for the brutal rape and beating of this female. He didn't do it. He was innocent. He was in prison for 20 years for it. Got out. They found out DNA testing and stuff, found who really did it. It wasn't him. He sat in jail for 20 years. He said now he's so traumatized. He's afraid to go in an elevator with a female by himself. He said he got on the elevator and this female started coming on the elevator with him and he started having a panic attack and he had to run out of the elevator. I could not explain how much I related to what he was saying. And I'm like, they know what they're doing when they're sending this to me. They think this is funny, but this is really what is happening to me and what has happened to me. Like, I'm so traumatized. If I had it my way, I'm so traumatized. I wouldn't even be around females. I'm so traumatized if I had it my way. But it's just like, I have to function in everyday life and this happened to me, but I don't want to just hide under a rock now and say, oh, I give up. I'm not going to live. No, I want to live. I deserve to live. I didn't do anything. I need to live my life. But there are moments where I feel really traumatized in certain environments. Like I said, it's just like being up in that little office space where it's just me and the female by ourselves. It just feels awkward to me. I can't explain it. And I can feel them staring at me. And it's just like, I'm coloring with them. I don't even want to move with the coloring pencil. Like, I just can't even explain. I'm afraid to move because it's like I can tell too that I'm being watched on the phone. Like I could tell, I can't explain it. It's just so awkward, man. And the girl in there is so nice. She's so freaking nice. That's the crazy shit about it. She's so nice. She's one of the nicest people in there. Like, she's actually one of those people in there that has been so freaking friendly and nice. Like, she has one of those, like, really comforting, friendly personalities. It's not even her. It's just the environment and the fact that she's a female. Just those 2 requirements. It's just the environment and the fact that she's a female. I wanted to go sit outside. I didn't even want to sit in there with her. And that's so terrible. And then my brain's ticking too, and I know she can hear my thoughts. It's just like, it's horrible, man. It's terrible. And there's another girl that does be up there too sometimes. I remember the first time they put me up there with that girl from yesterday. She had went to lunch, and I had went to lunch. And when I came back, they had another girl up there that does be up there. She's so damn talkative. This girl is so talkative and gregarious. Not to say that the one from yesterday isn't talkative. She's just more friendly, right? She's very friendly and comforting. But the other girl, she's like a chatty catty. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's a good thing. I actually low-key envy her. And I don't mean that in a malicious way. Not like, oh, I'm so jealous of you. No. I've always felt like, I mean it in a friendly way, right? I've always felt like some sort of envy towards those people that are just so good at socializing. Like, it's just like second nature. They're not even thinking about it. They're just running their mouth to any old random stranger. And they just get comfortable and they can just chat with anybody. I'm like the opposite of whatever that is. But people like that are usually the people that befriend me and also usually the people I feel comfortable around. She's a female. She actually looks younger than the other lady from yesterday, a little bit younger. The lady from yesterday looks like she's like my older sister's age. She looks like she's mid-30s, around my age. She looks like my older sister's age. The other girl, the chatty catty girl, she looks younger. She looks like she's my younger sister's age. I typically would have felt more awkward with the younger female, but I feel more comfortable with her because she runs her mouth so much, and I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. She's very friendly. It's a good thing. But it's like she's one of those people that, like, made me feel comfortable because she's running her mouth so much. I didn't even remember that, okay, they're staring at me and I'm in this little office space by myself with her. Like, she was running her mouth so much. I was just trying to keep up with the conversation, and it didn't feel as awkward. And so it's just like, I think what it is just that the girl from yesterday, she's very friendly and she's very kind, and you can tell everybody in there likes her because she's such a nice personality. It's funny, they say my voice sounds like her. They keep saying, you sound like so-and-so, you sound just like so-and-so. Very professional, very friendly, but still, and you could tell too that she's somebody that can befriend everyone, but it's not like she's going to be the chatty catty type, it's just like you're going to naturally gravitate towards her because of the kind of personality she has. Whereas the other girl is like so chatty, it's like she's making friends just shit. Like, she looked like she just walked to the grocery store and make 10 friends in that trip because of the kind of personality she has. And so I remember that little lunch period where I was there with her and she was chalking my head off. I wasn't feeling as awkward, and then the other girl came in. And so I think it's just the environment, the fact that she's female. And then, even though she's gregarious and she has a comforting personality to her, it's not like she's super talkative to make me kind of like forget the awkwardness. And so I'm sitting there in the corner and just feeling awkward. I could feel them staring at me and stuff. And it's just, that's really what it is, why I don't like going up there. And I feel like I've already learned up there too. You know, they already put me up there twice. She went over everything with me. I'm used to secretarial work. I pretty much got the gist of it. There's just one thing I didn't do right that morning, yesterday morning. And so it kind of looked like I wasn't learning the job, but she was like, oh my gosh, everything else I've taught you, you know, it's just that one thing, you know, where they called over and when she left the office, that same girl that I was in there with yesterday, the one that I said is like around my sister's age and she's really nice. She left for a couple seconds and over the walkie-talkie, one of the people in the unit said, radio check, central control, because that's the main central tower, that area that I'm talking about that we were in yesterday. And so a lot of the communication goes through that area. So one of the units just came through on their walkie and said, central control, walkie-talkie check, you know, just trying to check and see if their radio's working good, right? I hadn't done that before up there. That's a simple little minuscule thing. So I figured I would just say 10-4. That's one of the codes. You know, 10-4 means okay. So I felt like if I say 10-4, okay, that means I heard you. Apparently the procedure is you're supposed to say, central control heard you loud and clear. You know, something like that. Let them know that you can hear them loud and clear, and then also ask back if they can hear you, which makes sense in the grand scheme of things. Thinking about it, that does make sense because you're trying to do a walkie-talkie check. So just an okay, you know, that's not enough. I mean, yeah, you can hear me say okay, right? But like just, you know, to make sure that things are working smoothly, I can understand why the repertoire is what it is. But that was the one thing I got wrong. You know, we hadn't gone over that, but everything else we've gone over, I've been up there twice, you know, so yesterday was the third day. I'm just like, this is one of the areas, even though she's actually not one of the people that's act annoyed, you know, she didn't act annoyed when I was there. Actually, a lot of the guards, it's gotten a lot better, to be honest, since I've been there. A lot of them, even if they don't want me there, like they're not being obvious about it like the first 2 days. It's a lot better. But she's one of the people that has just been straight through and through kind, like just very welcoming. And it's not anything she did. I want to make it clear it's not anything she did. It's really just the environment, the fact that she's female. I'm sensitized, and that's really what it is. But she went over everything with me other than that little walkie-talkie thing. So I feel like I have the area covered. And it's just like, I was just like, oh my God, I just feel awkward up here. I'm just like, let me just, you know, like, and so I feel bad about it too, because I feel like it almost seems like I have a problem with the girl and I don't. She's so freaking nice. It's not her. It's just the environment. The fact that she's, you know, female. It's just traumatization, PTSD. I'm just keeping it real. That's what it is. And it feels awkward up there with them staring at me. If the cameras weren't on me and my thoughts weren't being projected, I think I would still feel awkward, but I don't think it would feel as awkward. I just feel like I'm being studied and stared at. You know, everywhere that they put me, I feel like they're studying me and studying my reaction. And it's a nightmare, man. Just being targeted like this. It's a nightmare. Anyway, so that's done with that. Talking about what happened yesterday and what the awkwardness is with that, right? The next thing now, what happened today? Okay, today was worse. Today's reaction, you know, because I had to actually sit across from someone, again, another female. And I don't want to be disrespectful. I feel like when I say female, that sounds so disrespectful. I'm talking about big professional people, you know, that have credentials and, you know, that deserve respect. But I'm saying female because I'm trying to specify what the sensitivity is and what the sensitization is. Let me look at neighbors going into their yard, y'all, and their gates making noise. Let me stop the video. Again, y'all, this is the last time for real. I want to just listen back to all the clips I've made so far. And then when I come back, I'm really going to finish off the video. I'll be back. Anyways, y'all, let me hurry up and finish off the video. So as I was saying, today they had me in a different location with an older CO. She's not elderly, but she is significantly older than me, I can tell. And so typically with females like that, I still feel uncomfortable. With all women, I feel uncomfortable, but I do feel a little bit more comfortable with the older woman. It's still like awkward. It's still a woman. I've talked about this in prior videos. It's to the point where even older women can make me feel uncomfortable, just women in general. But I do feel a little bit more comfortable with the older woman. I'm just keeping it honest, typically. So they had me with her today, and we were over at the medical building. And so there's several things going on over there when you're in the facility. You have different workers over there. You have nurses over there that deal with the inmates, practitioners, etc. Different things going on over there, right? And so while I was over there, one of the medical professionals that works over there decided to pull me in her office to talk to her about insurance, a different form of insurance other than the one that I'm getting from the job, right? It's another one that comes along like supplemental insurance. And it's additional, like an add-on thing, like helicopter, emergency helicopter, that type of thing, medevac. So she called me in her office to speak with her. And I'm just like, okay, this might be awkward, because I've talked about this already, y'all. So this is how you know that I'm not just saying it to cover my ass. If you check out my videos from last year, my 2 Asperger videos, right, where I took the live test on camera proving that I have Asperger's, at this time I wasn't working during the daytime. I was working the night shift. So there were no face-to-face interactions with anybody, not for extended periods of time, at least, right? Like quick little interactions, not like what's happening. Y'all, somebody coughing in the background. I cannot deal with this, Anyway, no long interactions like what's happening now that I'm here working this shift. I don't know really what the issue is. I keep saying this. I keep being good to people, and they just like, I cannot make sense of what the real problem is. But anyways, let me continue. So not this, not like what's happening now that I'm back in the work field and in the, working a 9 to 5, like a regular daytime shift, like what I'm used to working prior to the trauma, PTSD, and targeting. Back into that now full throttle after 2 years of hardcore targeting and just working the night shift and being a recluse. So it's difficult. I've talked about this in prior videos. But anyway, so when I made that video last year, right, about having the Asperger's, at the time there was no motive for me saying what I was saying because, again, there were no face-to-face interactions happening. Not the way that it is now that I'm working during the daytime again. But I was just trying to prove that I had Asperger's, trying to explain, certain things about my personality and why maybe I'm offending people or, saying things in a way that's offensive and not realizing it or whatever the case is. I was just, doing a lot of self-exploration at that time. You know how it is when you go through a traumatic, life-changing experience. And I've already told y'all, my mom even confirmed it. In my early 20s, years before my targeting, I suspected that I had Asperger's. And I called her and I asked her about it. She's like, we discussed it a little bit, but I never looked into it further. So anyways, last year I self-diagnosed myself. Like I said, I do have it. But anyways, in those videos from last year, you can hear me talking about the fact that I have trouble with eye contact with anyone. Male, female, cat, dog, horse, whatever it is. I have trouble maintaining eye contact with anyone. Let me scroll down real quick and show y'all. These 2 videos, y'all, you see it's from a year ago? Remember a year ago I was in the thick of it. Right? I was working the night shift. In fact, I think that was the time when I wasn't even working the night shift. I think I was unemployed at the time. So I was really just staying home. I don't even think I hadn't even started working out in the gym yet. So I was barely leaving the house at this time. So there was no eye-to-eye contact with anyone, really, for me to be saying that, right? There's no motive behind it. I was just being honest about a symptom that I've suffered with since childhood that's relative to Asperger's. Eye contact. You have trouble maintaining eye contact. It feels awkward. This one girl was describing it in one of these Asperger videos, right, that I was watching, and she was saying, like, if she maintains eye contact with someone, she can't hear what they're saying. Like, she can't focus on what they're saying because she feels so uncomfortable with the eye contact. So a tip, and something that a lot of Aspies learn to do is look at different points on your face that's near your eyes. So you might think we're looking in your eyes, but we're not. And that way it doesn't feel as uncomfortable. And it seems like we're maintaining eye contact. But that's a real struggle for people with Asperger's, maintaining eye contact. Like, we can physically feel it and it feels awkward and uncomfortable. And that sounds strange. A lot of people that can't empathize with it because it's something you don't go through. Like, that's like second nature to you. That's like an everyday thing. Hearing someone say that, that's like, okay, that person's weird. But no, it's literally a wiring of the brain, and it's similar to ADD. It's a different wiring of the brain. And for whatever reason, that's one of the symptoms. You just feel uncomfortable. You can feel the eye contact when you're trying to look someone in the eyes. I remember with my first boyfriend, I was telling him that I was having trouble looking in his eyes. And he's like, oh, it's just because you're young and you're shy, you're going to grow out of it. And similar to the same thing my mom was telling me, she used to tell me that I'm going to grow out of it. Oh, you're just really shy, you're going to grow out of it. I never grew out of it. I'm 33 and it's still something that I struggle with. I've been a teacher for many years and it's still something I struggle with. But I got better at it over time. Over time it gets easier dealing with it. But like I said, I started to regress with the targeting. I feel uncomfortable. I know everybody's staring at me. I keep saying every interaction I have, it feels like a freaking poppy show. Not poppy show, wrong word. Freak show, or like it's on display. I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to use the word freak show with a professional interaction, but I don't know what other word. It just feels like you're on display. Every conversation that you have, it is on display. Everybody's watching. And so it just feels so uncomfortable, and it's just like a major regression in everything that I've ever struggled with. Social interactions, eye contact, it's just like regression. And I'm trying to now, I'm back out in the workforce, the daytime workforce. I'm trying to work through and now kind of just rebuild what feels like, things that feel like they were broken down, and like I feel like I regressed in certain areas. I'm trying to now move forward in those areas. So the eye contact thing, that's like the hardest thing for me at work. And it's happened with everyone, right? It's not just specifically this lady today. They're trying to run with that, but it wasn't just her. It's like literally every person I talk to in there, I know they see me struggling with the eye contact, but I force myself to look in a person's eyes. But when it's sensitization or something or someone I'm feeling awkward about, which is damn near everyone at this point, but no, there's specific people or specific situations where I feel awkward, more awkward, right? Then that's where the eye contact really gets you can see it that I'm struggling. You can see it. And they'll start making noises in the background and doing stuff too, and that makes it more awkward. So an example of this, by the way, before I continue with what happened today with this, I'm just going to say medical professional. I'm not going to say her name. I don't want to keep saying female. That sounds disrespectful. So I'm going to just keep referring to her as the medical professional. There's a video I made, right? I feel stupid about making the video, but it's again one of those things where I was getting gaslit about the reaction I was having. And so that's why I made the video. When I first got into the jail, I was talking about the fact that there's a guy in there that trains the cadets and in preparation for the physical that we have to take in order to get accepted into police academy. It's a really hard physical. You have to be in shape or you're going to fail it. And several people have failed, right? I'm in shape, thank the Most High. I just work out. I've been working out since the targeting. I like doing it anyway. But when the targeting got real bad, and I went through some of the health things that happened to me last year, what I suspect to have been, radiation attacks or whatever it was, lost a lot of weight and stuff. I decided to get back on my fitness game. I started working out and getting myself back together. And so thank the Most High, this job, I was prepared for it, already. So I'm already in shape, and I think that's maybe what it was. Maybe he just, knows that I'm in shape, and he's like, okay, she gonna breeze through this because she's in shape. But for me, with the way I overthink and with the way that they've sensitized me to certain narratives, similar to the female thing, similar to the Caucasian thing, is the same way that I feel sensitized towards married men. It's just this thing. I could be having a conversation with a coworker and it's literally just completely professional, and they mention the fact that they're married and I instantly want to run out the room. Similar to how I want to run away from females. It's the same concept. And an example of this is this guy that they put me to train with. He was one of the most entertaining trainers I've had in there, right? Very gregarious. Actually kind of reminds me of my cousin. It's just the way that he is. I could tell, I'm good at reading people. I could tell he has a hot temper, but yet he's really funny. Whenever he's not mad and he lets his guard down, he's funny. And I noticed it's this a character with some dudes. I noticed my cousin has that character. Typically those really funny dudes that tell stories and stuff, they have a hot temper underneath. I don't know what it is. I've met so many of them like that. I know that personality so well. Anyway, so when he first came in, he was very militant at first. I was like, oh, this is going to be a rough day. That's what I thought at first. And then he loosened up and he started really training me and engaging me in the training. And it was an entertaining day and telling stories and stuff. And so I'm just interacting with him on a regular tip. We're just talking. It was very professional. There was nothing weird about it. I felt like this was one of the most comfortable trainings I had. Once he's really started telling me stories about, things that happen in the jail with inmates and stuff, I was like, whoa, this is, like interesting. I'm listening, engaged and stuff. And then he at some point in time in the conversation mentioned that he was married. And instantly I got uncomfortable. It wasn't just because he mentioned he was married. He was also throughout the conversation inserting sensitization off and on. But a lot of them do that in there. And I just realized I think it's a script. I don't want to bear false witness, but I think it's like a part of the targeting. I think they were instructed to do that. I don't know for sure, really. But I think like whenever they're interacting with me, even if it's like a flowing convo or whatever, I think every now and then they do insert sensitization. Sometimes it happens throughout the day. Sometimes they might do it once or twice. But almost every guard I've sat with, like at least once in the day, they're going to insert some sort of sensitization. So off and on, he would insert touch, or he'd start telling me the story about Masons, this inmate that went in the cell and he saw a drawing of Masons in the cell. Remember, I was talking about what I learned about Freemasons in this program last year. I did some digging and research, and, I started learning a lot of stuff, and they started throwing at me the things that I was learning. They started accusing me of being a Mason. Like, they accused me of so much crazy shit, y'all. I can't even, like, if you listen to all my videos. But anyway, so throughout the day, he was inserting different stuff, and I just thought it was funny. It wasn't a big deal. But then one of the things he did it once, was while we were talking, he reached over, and he, y'all, this is just, I'm so good to people, and I don't know what the problem is with me. I don't know what it is. Like, I hear a cough in the background. I think I know who did it. I don't know why. I don't know what the problem is, or what the dissension or the feeling towards me is, because so much has been done to me and I still remain without a feeling towards I don't get it. I don't understand. Is it me? Am I absent-minded and I don't understand? Because I don't get it. Like, so much has actually been done to me and I don't feel like this kind of like, I can't even explain it. Anyway, let me continue with what I was saying though. It's just, I have an active audience. Like, that's all I'm saying. So anyways, so while the conversation is happening, throughout the conversation, one of the things he did was reach for his water. He did that once. And so when he did that, because even with the conversation, with the sensitization, I can laugh at that stuff, some of the stupidness he was saying. But when he reached for the water, that was when I got uncomfortable. I was like, wait, am I listening too intently to what he's saying? Because what he was saying was really interesting to me. It wasn't that, oh, I'm so attracted to you. Oh, no, it was more so like he was actually like engaging me. Like, most of the time in these trainings, I'm sitting there just like waiting for the time to pass by because my brain is ticking. I'm feeling like I'm a burden to the person I'm under sometimes, and it's just like, I want my own role. I'm tired of sitting underneath officers. I'm just being honest. I've said that already. But with him, it was actually like one of the few trainings where it was just like, it didn't feel like the time was dragging by because he was entertaining with the training. He was engaging me. He was telling me stories. He was letting me do stuff. And so I just was like actually enjoying the training for once. But it wasn't like this thing where I'm looking at him like, oh, I was actually intently listening. He reminds me of my cousin, because my cousin is like that too. The cousin I talked about in some of my prior videos, the one that I was actually hanging with back in my early 20s when I was going through my rough patch or whatever. He's the same way. Like, he's a good storyteller, and he gets you engaged in the story, and you listen to the story intently, and you that kind of way. That's how he is. And so that's what I was doing. And I realized, wait a minute, when he grabbed for the water, I was like, and then they flew the flyby. I was like, wait a minute, am I listening to him too intently? Because, this is awkward. All the other sensitization, I laugh it off. But when he reached for the water, I was like, wait a minute, does this man think am I acting, is this just him inserting more sensitization, or am I acting thirsty because I'm listening to him tell stories that are interesting? And it's just this thing where, I feel even awkward around men, but not like the way I do around females. It's a different kind of awkward, and it's mainly if they have girlfriends or wives, that's when I want to run. But at this point, he hadn't mentioned that he had a family yet. He hadn't even mentioned that yet. He was literally just telling me about the inmates and the job and, telling me all this stuff about what's going on in the prison. He hadn't mentioned anything else. And so I was just listening intently like, whoa, that happened? I'm even asking him questions because some of the stories are so freaking crazy, right? And so then he reaches for the water and the fly flies when I was like, wait a minute. Does he think that am I acting like Google-eyed because I'm listening to him tell me stories? Like, is it a problem for me to listen to him? Should I have told him, hey, shut up, don't tell me stories. Let's just sit here quiet. Like, how do you handle that type of situation where they're constantly throwing thirst at you, and then you're in an interaction with a male coworker, a male in everyday life? Am I supposed to say, don't talk to me, sir, because I don't want to be thirsty, sir? Like, how does that work? Am I not allowed to talk to men now? Like, every man that I talk to, I'm being thirsty? Is that what that means? Like, it baffles me. I'm so confused. So anyway, he reached for the water and I noticed it. I peeped it. And then they flew the flyby. So that's when I started to kind of draw back a little. I was like, wait a minute. Maybe I should, like, I'm just listening to him tell these stories is actually pretty interesting, right? So that happens. And then later in the conversation, before I went to lunch, we were talking about something else. I forgot how it got brought up, but we were talking about something else. And I think it was insurance, or I don't remember how it got brought up about his children. Something about his children. How did it get brought up? I can't remember. I don't even remember how the thing got brought up, but he ended up bringing up the fact that he had a family. And so instantly I got uncomfortable because I remembered earlier when he had that one time grab for the water. Now, mind you, that wasn't the only sensitization in the conversation, but that was the one that I honed in on. There are certain things that they sensitized me to that I feel traumatized about. It's the homewrecker thing. It's the predator thing. It's the witchcraft thing. And it's the hoe thing. Like, those 4 things, out of everything else, like, those 4 things are the things that really bother me, and I think they realized that too. And so when he mentioned the family, in addition to me remembering earlier when he had grabbed for the water, that was when I was like, okay, whoa, some sort of warp thing happening here, because I'm sitting here listening to you tell me stories. This is one of the most entertaining trainings I've had. I'm just keeping it real and honest. The guy's a good storyteller. I'm not gonna lie. But now you're saying that you have a family, right? However that got brought up. We were talking about, I believe, insurance or something like that, and he started talking about his children. Something like that. I don't remember how it happened. But then earlier in the conversation, I remembered you grabbing water. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely not coming back up here. Like, it's similar to what happened yesterday with the lady from yesterday where, I didn't want to go back up to the training after lunch, and I was trying to sit outside and stuff. It's just that same sensitization. There's a reason why I'm telling you about that guy. I'm trying to prove a point here, because they try to run with these reactions and try to use it to propel these false narratives. But I'm trying to show you that it's sensitization and trauma and PTSD. Similar to how they've traumatized me and sensitized me to females and pushed out false narrative about the text message, is the same way since I've told the story last year about my, what happened with the cyber-stalking, cyber-bullying dude that's, I believe, married now. Even if he's not married, he definitely has a girlfriend and children, right? Or a child, whatever. When I talked about that, remember, they started painting the narrative about me being this jaded lover and whatever stupid lies they started painting, and a home wrecker and all this type of stuff like that, right? So similar to how I'm traumatized and sensitized to females and children, is the same way that I'm sensitized to married men, right? And so I have this like paranoia, and they like to just paint it like I'm thirsty to another false lie-ass narrative. I'm actually very selective, by the way. Not like super like stuck up or anything like that, but I have a odd, I don't want to say odd, I don't even want to feed into that shit. They like to throw the word weird and all this dumb bullshit. But I do have a unique personality, right? And only certain men can have chemistry with me. I don't have chemistry with just about anybody. I really don't. It's like certain men I have chemistry with, and if the chemistry is there, then I find you attractive and things can move from there. If the conversation ain't flowing and it's like a struggle conversation, then I don't care how fine you are, and I don't care if you're my type or not, then I don't like you like that anymore. Like, instantly the attraction fades away. And so, that's the thing. That's what I mean when I say selective, that I'm selective. So it's not even this thing like I'm thirsty, this and that. If I feel like the conversation ain't flowing with a guy, he could be the finest thing walking, I wouldn't even like him. So anyways, I'm not thirsty, but that's just another false narrative they like to paint. But it is something I feel uncomfortable about, because they've been throwing that at me maliciously. They've been throwing the whole thing at me maliciously. They've been throwing the side chick, home wrecker thing at me maliciously. They've been throwing the predator thing at me maliciously. And they've been throwing the witchcraft thing at me maliciously for the last 2 years. So anyways, with him, that's what made me not come back up there. You know, even though the conversation was good and the training wasn't bad, I just started to feel overwhelmed with the whole thing. I was just like, damn, I was just sitting here genuinely listening to the stories he was telling, and I feel like they were painting it like I was being thirsty for listening to him tell me stories. And so it's just this, you know, it's just this thing where I did not even want to go back up there. I found some excuse. I really had genuine paperwork to fill out, but I used that as the excuse to not have to go back up there. And that was similar to what happened yesterday with the girl from yesterday. Same uncomfortable thing, sensitization for a different false narrative. And I found a reason not to go back up there. And that's what it is. So that's just, they'll proving my point. It's just sensitization. It's the same thing, the same concept. And the reason I went off talking about that guy, not only did I want to use him as an example to show you that something similar happened to what happened yesterday, right, with the lady from yesterday, due to sensitization, but then I also wanted to bring up the trainer guy, you know, just talk about that, you know, and my reaction with him, because how I reacted with him when I first got into jail and I first had a face-to-face interaction with him, I was so awkward, similar to how I was with the lady today. That one-on-one moment that I had with her today, it was reminiscent of the interaction I had with the trainer in there. You know, the guy that trains the new cadets for the test that you take to get into police academy. And I talked about this in one of the recent videos, y'all, why I got awkward with him. I was getting in my own head. Again, sensitization and PTSD and me making assumptions. But they, you know, it's just this thing where I was supposed to be getting training from him. Like the other guy that's a cadet on the neighboring island, him and I were on a Zoom call for orientation because we're both new cadets to the prisons, right, to the jails, but he's on the neighboring island. And he started his training for the test, and he was in the military, so he's in shape as well, by the way, y'all. But he had started his training with his trainer over there. And I noticed that, like, every time I would ask about my training, it was like it was getting brushed off. Not brushed off. I don't want to say that. That's, like, disrespectful, and I'm not trying to create anything. Not brushed off. But it was just kind of like this thing, like it wasn't happening, and I wasn't getting, like, a clear answer as to why it wasn't happening. And so I got in my own head about it, because then when we got in the jail, you know, I was asking one of the officers that was showing me around when I was going to get my training. And he was just kind of like, oh, you know, the answer was just like another one of those, like, not a definitive type of answer about it. And he said, but let's go meet his wife. Like, he said, let's go meet his wife. And it took me to meet the wife. And I think I just got in my own head because of sensitization and them constantly throwing homewrecker and thirsty at me. I was like, what if they don't want me to train with him because they think I'm a homewrecker? Like, this is what I thought in my head. And even though that's an irrational thought due to sensitization and PTSD, I never would have made a video about it. Because, again, it's not something that I was sure about. You know, how humiliating to talk about that, and then that's not really why. You know, okay, well, maybe he just assumed that I'm in shape because he sees me working out. Hello, I'm targeted. And he just assumed that maybe, you know, I'm ready for this thing, even though I'm not a good runner. But even despite me not being a good runner, I was ready for it, and I did do well. But I suck at running. I always have. It doesn't matter how in shape I am. I've always struggled with cardio. That's why I took myself down there to the site where the test takes place. And I made sure to do the run twice to work out how I was going to do the run, you know? So anyways, so with him, though, I had that in my head, like, what if it's because I'm a homewrecker? And so I remember then my first interaction with him in the jail was so different to the interaction I had with him prior to getting to the facility, because I interacted with him before. I had to do a physical with him before I actually got into the jail. I was moving so different, so awkward, like I couldn't even keep eye contact with him. I was struggling, similar to what happened with the lady today, the medical professional. Same awkward kind of weird stupidness. And then they started flying the flyby. You know, and that's the only reason I made the video. I wouldn't have ever made a video about that. But it's like as soon as I have these reactions, they gaslight me about it. I'm like, okay, I gotta explain why this reaction is happening. You know, let me talk about it. It's sensitization. It's PTSD. Let me talk about it. And that's why I made the video, you know, because they were flying the flyby like crazy when I was interacting like that with him. You know, I didn't want it to create something in there with him or even his wife, you know, because these are people I'm going to work around. So anyways, it's kind of similar to what happened today with the lady from today. It's traumatization, PTSD, sensitization, and knowing that everyone's staring at me. So getting back now that I made my point, to the lady from today. Oh, by the way, there's a white inmate in there too, 3 of them in there. And one of them, you know, him and I have like this repertoire. He's a painter in there, right? He's so nice and friendly, and him and I have conversation. I even struggle having eye contact with him. I know they see how awkward I move with him as well. So it's sensitization and PTSD. So anyways, with the medical professional, she called me back to the office. Getting back to the point, y'all. She called me back to her office, right? I'm supposed to be sitting down with her, having a conversation, about this plan, these different plans. They had like 3 different plans. You know how insurance is, they have different plans that you can take standard, or you can take, different, they have different packages. So anyway, she and I, when we first got back there, of course I felt awkward because it's, again, an office space where I'm by myself with a female, but at least it's in a building where there are other people. It's not like we're the only ones in the building. So it didn't feel as awkward, but it did feel a little awkward. So I kept trying to push the door open and not let the door close. I kept trying to pull the door open so I wouldn't feel awkward. It's so stupid and terrible, man. Like, I'm so different to how I used to be. This thing really got me messed up. And they keep, trying to tease me, and with the shadow networking, sending stuff about therapy because they know I'm traumatized from what I've gone through. I don't need no therapy. I really just need things to go back to normal and, not to be treated like a freak show with cameras following me around, etc., etc., thought projection, etc. Anyway, so I was just like pushing the door open, and she was on a phone call before we got started with the whatever it was she wanted to talk to me about, because I didn't know that's what she would be talking to me about at the time. I'm just pushing the door open, like I kept trying to push the door open and push it open, and it was just one of those doors that slid closed. So I was just like, okay, it's a crack closed. It's not a big deal. So when she got off the phone, she sat down across from me. I have to maintain eye contact. I'm not going to stare at her forehead. I'm not going to stare at her mouth. So, having the trouble with the eye contact, looking and feeling a little bit awkward, knowing that everybody's staring at me, and already something that I've always struggled with. But I maintained the eye contact with her at first. And even though it was a little shaky, it wasn't that bad. She and I were just talking, and she was explaining to me what her role was in the jail and why she was called me back there. What we were going to be talking about, the medevac. And so it was a little awkward, but it wasn't that bad. What made it get bad was 2 things, right? So while she and I was talking, I heard somebody laugh outside the window. Outside her she had a window to the outside. And it was like a group of, I don't know if it was officers, I don't know who it was, but a group of people was outside, and I heard this high-pitched laugh outside the window. So they even saw me on camera look up. I looked up, and I got basity, and then I really started to get this awkward kind of way because I remember that everyone's staring at me. And the second thing that made me get really awkward was before she did this, she asked me how old I was. So I said, well, how old do I look? And she said, trying to figure it out. And I had my mask on. I wear my mask in the jail, like I told you on the prior videos. So I pulled the mask down for her to see my face. And then she said, whatever she said, and then she just said, we ended up talking about other stuff. She went off on a tangent talking about the mask and germs, and, it didn't end up circling back to guessing my age, but I ended up just telling her anyway, my age. But I was aware of the fact that my lips were dry. I have really bad chapped lips. As much as I work out and I'm in shape, I don't drink enough water. I even bring cases of water in here. And for some reason, at this big old age of 33, it's like I don't like to drink water anymore. It's weird. When I was in my early 20s, I used to drink water like a fish. I didn't even drink soda or juice when I was in my early 20s. Now, it's like I don't drink soda like that. I do drink soda. But what I buy to drink is green tea. The natural green tea. So that's good for you too. But I like a little, some sort of sugar something, like I don't want just straight water. I'm having a hard time just drinking water, and I need to. I'm dehydrated. And I work out a lot too. I sweat a lot. And the only time I'm drinking water is when I work out. And really, I'm just replacing what's sweating out of my body. So that's really what it is, why my lips are so dry. It's dehydration, and then me wearing the mask all the time, all day long, right? And so there's this lip balm that I use. And whenever I use it, it protects my lips and it keeps my lips good. It ran out a couple months ago, and I couldn't find it. I was looking all over Island for it. Just recently found it by fluke at the gas station. I lost the damn lip gloss. My backpack was unzipped as I was going around. The other day, I lost it. It's chapstick. It's a special lip balm that really works good with my lips. So anyway, long story short, my lips were hella dry today. I felt it was peeling, and then I have this nervous habit of, it's similar to biting your nails. I peel my lips. So it already gets dry from the dehydration, and then I pick it. And so it gets real dry if I don't put the lip balm on it. So it was dry. Today when I pulled it down, I felt that it was dry. I tried to lick my lips real quick, but I could feel that it was dry. So I let her see my face, and I pulled my mask back up. Next, I noticed, I heard the laughing. Not after I pulled my mask down. Now, it was 2 separate occurrences, like way later into the convo, not way later, but a little later into the convo, she and I were talking about something and I heard the laughing outside the window, right? I think she mentioned cancer or something. I don't remember what it was. Not the cancer thing. It was something she said. It wasn't the cancer thing. It was something she said and I heard the laughing outside the window. And so I looked up and then I got Basity and that's when I started getting real awkward. And then after she saw my face and the, my dry lips or whatever, like literally like 2 or 3 minutes later, it's like it reminded her that she wanted to put chapstick on. Maybe again, just me getting in my own head and overthinking. I don't know. But I saw her look down at my lips. And I'm aware of the fact that my lips are dry. I'm very self-conscious, right? So she pulls out like this lip balm and starts putting it on her lips. And so I looked at her doing that and I got really Basity after that because I knew my lips were dry. And so after that, it's just like I couldn't catch myself. It was the people laughing outside the window. It was her putting on the chapstick after seeing my dry lips. It was the environment of being in the office with this woman by myself. Not this woman in a disrespectful way, but with a woman by myself. And I'm already sensitized, right? It was all of it, knowing I'm being stared at on camera. Just all of that. The laughing outside reminded me that I'm being stared at. I just felt really awkward. That's just the truth. And so I started acting really awkward. It was just like hard. I almost couldn't even maintain the eye contact after a while. I just felt so uncomfortable. But I'm like, I can't keep functioning like this and think I'm going to function in any professional setting. I have to get over whatever this is. And it would be easier if they would take the cameras off me and my thoughts weren't being projected. That's really what's causing it to continue to be awkward. How am I supposed to build myself out of this if I'm still being targeted? Anyway, so that it just got real awkward. And then we called my mom. And my mom's just like the polar opposite of me, her personality. She's very gregarious. She's up in everybody's face, like complete opposite of me. So she's talking the lady's head off. I'm just like, oh God, like, can we just get to the conversation? Because I'm sitting there awkwardly and mom is talking this lady's head off about the insurance. And then the lady's like, oh, your mom is so sweet. Anyway, she finally got off the phone with my mom. And, the conversation ended, but I could feel the shift that, it was like, the awareness that I acted strange in the interaction and everybody saw. I'm just like, oh boy, I'm gonna get gaslit about this. I just know how it works. I've been dealing with it long enough. I'm like, they're gonna gaslight me about this reaction. And when I left office, that's what was happening. It wasn't so bad, but it was just like as soon as I sat down, then the same inmate I told you that I have, the white inmate that I told you I have like a repertoire with, he came up to me and asked me, did you hear the fire drill? Something about fire drill, something. And then when he walked off, the CO I was sitting with said something about something burning down. So I'm just like, you see this? Like literally, right after the interaction, the awkward interaction, then I come out there talking about fire drills. And then when I left work, I had half day today because remember I told you guys about the holiday and stuff. When I left work, all of a sudden I'm seeing fire trucks everywhere. Everywhere I go, I'm seeing fire trucks. So it's just purposely like gaslighting me about these awkward reactions due to sensitization. And that interaction I had with her was no different to the interaction I had with the trainer who's married. It was the same awkwardness where I couldn't keep the eye contact and I was acting strange in Basity. A different sensitization, but the same thing. And they flew the flyby in my face. But of course they don't do the fire drill and the burn down thing for that because they can't tie that back to the child narrative. They're just tying that to me being a homewrecker. But it's the same concept. Or when I talk to that same white inmate and I can barely keep eye contact with him and my brain starts ticking, it's the same concept. You can't run with one thing and not the next. It's the same thing. So anyways, that's all I want to talk about, y'all. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, God, this video is going to be too long. I need to hurry up. Today in the gym, y'all, let me speed through this because I don't want to give this thing too much energy or attention. So anyways, like I told y'all, I got off half day, went to the gym. I was like, I need to let off some steam. Plus, last week, I only worked out once, with all the busy scheduling and, transportation and this and that. I now, since my schedule has changed and I'm working 2 jobs, I'm only going to the gym twice a week instead of 3 times. I already said once I get into the groove of things and settled into, whatever, then I'm going to try to do 3 days again, 3 nights. I'm going at night now out of the week. But right now, as it stands with how busy I am, I'm going 2 nights out of the week. Last week, I only went once. So this week, I said this week for sure I'm going 3 times. So I went yesterday and I went today again. I don't do it like that. I always take a day in between to let my muscles recover. But I went back to back. I went yesterday and then I went today because I need to catch up, right? And it was a half day too and I had the car. So I was like, let me just go. So I went in the gym, was nice, how I like it to be. It was like 1 or 2 people in there, like 3 people. I love the gym like that. I don't like it when it's super packed and I have to wait for, equipment, or just, like feeling kind of awkward with people around. So I get so into the groove when I'm in the gym, I don't really feel awkward like I do in other settings, because that's my environment. I like working out and stuff and I'm really into it. So I don't feel as awkward in the gym. But still, it's just this thing when it's a bunch of people in the gym, right? But when it's nobody and it's just me, I don't like that either. Because even though I know I'm being stared at regardless, it's like I really feel like the spotlight on me when I'm the only one in there. So I don't like that either. I like it when it's like one or two or three people. That's when it's perfect to me. Like, mwah, I love it like that. 2 or 3 people. I love it like that. So that's how it was when I went in there. I was like, yes. I didn't see any sensitization or anything like that. I was like, okay, this is not going to be a bad session here. This is good. Right? So I got into it, immediately started working on doing my thing. Then I see the police officer that they sensitized me to. The one that I talked about in several videos, y'all. The one that went on one date with my sister in her early 20s and blah, blah, blah. The one I've talked about in several videos, y'all, that they send in there sometimes. I don't know if they sent him in there or if he was just in there by coincidence, because I know that he does go around that time to work out. I don't know. Truly, I don't want to bear false witness. But that was the only sensitization in there. I noticed him after the fact. But other than that, it was just like random faces in there. Likely maybe gang stalkers, I don't know. But they weren't doing anything if they were gang stalkers. So I was doing my workout, doing my thing. And I finally get over to the Smith machine, which is one of my last workouts. Like, the Smith machine is the last station I go to before I leave the gym, right? I do my 50 squats over there, and then I do my deadlifts, and then I leave up out of the gym. So that's literally my last 2 workouts that I do when I hit the Smith machine. Let me sit up, y'all. My back is hurting. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Speaking of working out, I've been going heavy weights too. So it's my back. I do a lot in there, y'all. I already told you I do 30. I might even go into it right now. I do 85 squats every session. It used to be 100, but I've cut back 15 squats since I've started working harder in 2 jobs and all this. I do 85 squats in there. I do 35 on what I call the other squat machine. So there's another squat machine that provides a little bit more support. I've told you all about this in my prior videos, where I'm able to go heavier on that one, because you don't have to have as much balance or stability like you do with the Smith. So with this one, I go all the way up to 320 pounds. I go real heavy with that machine. And I'm doing 35 squats on that machine. I'm doing 30 at 180 pounds. And then I do 5 at 320 pounds. I used to have 270 pounds in there, somewhere in between. But to make it simpler, I just do 2 sets of weights. I do 30 squats at 180 pounds. And then I throw on like a lot more weight. I just go up to 320 and I do 5 squats. Then I go over to the Smith after I do everything else in between. I find my way over to the Smith and I do 50 squats over there. I do 15 squats at 180 pounds. I do 30 squats at 140 pounds. And then my last 5 squats I split up. I do 3 at 200 pounds. And now I do 2 at 220 pounds. So that's what I've been doing over on the Smith. So I'm going pretty heavy and I'm doing high reps, 50 squats, right? My throat's starting to scratch, y'all. They're humming on me like crazy. I don't know why they're doing it. But I can always feel when they're doing it. My stomach starts to feel funny. My throat starts to feel scratchy. Likely I'm going to have trouble swallowing later tonight or tomorrow now because of this. I get a slight headache. I just hate when they use that shit on me. Anyway, I don't know why they're doing it. I guess because I'm proving my point. Because they really ran with that reaction with that medical professional earlier. As usual, gaslighting. Anyway, so hence the reason why too, it's just like this feeling like I just want to run type thing whenever it's a woman. That's horrible to feel that way. I live in a world with women, right? That's crazy. I live in a world with women. I am a woman. I don't want to feel that way. Anyway, forgot. And it's so weird. I feel like I'm even more sensitized to women than I am children. Even though the narrative stems from a child. Like, it's weird. I can actually go around children now and I feel awkward, yes. But not like I do with women. It's this weird thing because they keep throwing this homosexual thing at me, or this, the reason I'm saying homosexual is I don't want to say anything offensive, and so I don't know if it would be offensive if I say gay. That's a true term, right? I'm not trying to offend anybody. I already have so many enemies. Just saying things, being blunt, and saying things offensively and not meaning to. But they keep throwing this gay narrative at me, and I think that's really what's created like this extreme discomfort when it comes to females, because of course it stems from that horrible false narrative. But I feel like I'm even more awkward with women than I am with children. Anyways, and I like men. That's the crazy thing. Like, I'm not thirsty like they like to lie and say, but I like men. Trust me. Anyways, so back to what I was saying though, because I'm going off on a tangent. I don't want to hurry up and finish the video. So yeah, so I'm going ham in the Smith, y'all. My back is hurting. But anyway, so I went to the Smith. I was at my last part of the workout today in the gym, and doing my squats. And as I get like halfway through, I'm at like maybe 20, I can see in the mirror, right? The mirror that I look into to do my squats shows basically the whole layout of the gym, and I can see anytime somebody comes into the gym. So I see this guy come in, right? He's, as usual, because I've seen him in there before. He's actually made contact with me before while in there. I haven't seen him in months. I have not seen this guy. But a few months ago, he had come in the gym before when I was still working out during the daytime, before I started working the day job. And he came in a similar outfit. He never comes out in workout clothes. That's what makes him stand out too and seem like a gang stalker. Like, he's never coming in workout clothes. He's always coming in like jeans, like it looks like construction jeans, and like a regular shirt. And last time, months ago when he had came in, he actually had paint, like a pants with paint on it. It looked like he had just come from painting a house or something, and he's coming to the gym like he didn't bother to put on workout clothes, which is not a problem. You could do whatever you want to do as long as you're comfortable. That's all that matters. But this is what made him stand out to me. And also, too, I just have really good memory. And I remember months ago when he came in, like, he kept watching me. I noticed it. And then he actually found his way over to the Smith machine and was telling me something in my ear. I don't even remember what he said to me. He said something to me in my ear. And so I remember him. I very well remember him. I just remember like, So he came in today while I'm in the Smith machine doing my squats. And I saw him look down in his phone. I believe he was looking at me. And the reason I think so is because as I looked up, I see him looking down his phone and he pinched his nose twice, right? That's what he did. So I'm like, okay, gang stalking. I remember him. I remember him from months ago coming in and he just kept watching me, and I remember getting uncomfortable and probably getting an annoyed look on my face. I didn't say anything disrespectful because here they go gaslighting. I didn't say anything disrespectful to him. It was just annoying. Like, I'm trying to work out, and you're staring me down. That type of stuff annoys me, especially as the target. And then you actually found your way over and said something in my ear, and still I wasn't disrespectful to him. But I do remember feeling irritated. I did feel irritated. I'm not going to lie. I didn't say anything disrespectful to him. Nothing disrespectful. But I do remember just feeling irritated because, I'm already feeling like all these people are staring at me. And you're coming physically and staring at me. That is irritating if you're already somebody that's targeted and dealing with stalking. That's irritating. Not being a bitch, that is irritating. And they would gaslight me about it because they don't like me. So anyway, now today he come in and I see him back there and he's pinching his nose. I'm like, oh boy, I hope he ain't come in on no gang stalking anything, right? I'm like, let me just ignore that. I kept doing my squats. He finds his way over to the area. He's using the leg press machine. I'm like, cool, fine, whatever. I'm just ignoring him. I wasn't disrespectful. I didn't cut my eyes at him. I didn't say anything. I didn't think anything nasty. I was minding my business, even though I was keenly aware that he was there. Because I felt like some gang stalking was about to happen. I can always tell. So anyways, I keep doing my squats as I'm getting closer to those last 5 where I go real heavy. They have this new thing where like they like to send in somebody and the person will all of a sudden be walking back and forth in front of the mirror when I put on the heavy weight. When I get to the 220 or the 200, they're all of a sudden walking back and forth and they know I need to look in the mirror. I'm a long femur squatter, so I'm prone to poor squat form. And, that's something I've struggled with and causes me knee pain too. I'm 33 now. I'm not getting any younger. So I'm already squatting super heavy. I can't afford to have poor posture. And sometimes when I squat, I lean forward too much because of the long femurs. And so that's why I like to look in the mirror and make sure that I'm upright. And I actually saw a video like that recently where the guy was saying one trick that he uses with his clients is telling them to look straight ahead. Because when they look straight ahead, that will keep the form proper. And so looking at myself in the mirror keeps me looking straight ahead. And I can see myself and make sure that my form is proper. So anyways, when I get to the heavies, that's when I really don't need you blocking me. And this is where, like, the last 2 times I've gone to the gym, I noticed, like, when I get to the heavies, that's when somebody starts walking back and forth. Like, there was this guy in there. I could tell he was a gang stalker, too. I didn't even know him from anywhere. I hadn't seen him before, but I could just tell. I'm very intuitive. I've been dealing with this for a long time. Again, I didn't make an assumption. I just kept doing my thing. This was the last time I went to the gym. Not today. Was it yesterday that this happened? Not yesterday. It was last week when I went to the gym. Anyway, I get to the 200. All of a sudden, he gets up from lifting weights and he's holding his arm and walking back and forth, pacing back and forth in front of the mirror. So I think in my head, I knew he was a gang stalker. I just knew it. I said, all of a sudden, now I get to 200. He's walking back and forth in front of the mirror. As soon as I thought that, he sat down and had a smirk on his face. You know, so this is the shit I'm dealing with. You know, and so then they would gaslight me when I get annoyed about stuff. So anyways, so back to today, though, with that guy that I had seen months prior. You know, so I remembered him. Anyway, so he doing his leg press thing. I'm just ignoring him and doing my thing. I'm like, if he is going to gang stalk, you know, I'm going to try not to have a reaction was my mindset, really. You know, he hasn't done anything yet. The gym is open to everyone. So I'm not going to just, off the basis of remembering him from a few months ago, act like a bitch. I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm just going to mind my business. If he doesn't do anything, it's fine. So I kept doing my squats. As predictable, when I get to the 200s, all of a sudden he's like actively passing back and forth. So it looked like he was, you know, transferring weights or whatever he was doing. So I said, you know what, let me stand here. Let him finish doing what he's doing so he doesn't pass in front of me while I'm doing these heavy squats. Let me stand here and let him finish doing what he's doing. So I stood there patiently. I didn't roll my eyes. I didn't suck my teeth. I didn't do anything disrespectful. And I waited for him to finish doing what he was doing. Do you know he purposely stopped what he was doing and stood there in the mirror and stared at me? So that was where I started getting annoyed now. This is where I'm starting to get annoyed and bitch switch is starting to switch on. The poem bitch switch. This is where you're egging me into a nasty reaction now. And whatever you get, you get. Now, I've been trying to change and not be this bitch, right? That they, and when I say they, the gang stalkers that antagonize, harass, and bully me, pull out of me. I don't know if he's offended from a few months ago because he's whispering some strippiness in my ear. I don't know what the issue is. But I didn't do anything to him. I was never rude to him. So anyways, I'm standing there, right? And he knows I'm waiting for him. They all know what's going on, right? Because I've talked about it in these videos before. I literally stop and wait for him patiently to finish passing back and forth because it's a gem we have to share, right? And so even if I suspect gang stalking, if it's not obvious, I'm not going to tell you anything. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Let me hurry up, y'all. I just looked at all the clips and it's about an hour, 20 something minutes, right? I don't want this video to be too long. So let me try to hurry up and wrap it up. So anyways, after he's standing there now and stare at me in the mirror, I realized for sure he's in there on some gang stalking stuff. I already knew. I'm intuitive, but again, I'm learning not to jump to conclusions, right? And I didn't want to just move off of that basis. So when he stands there, this is why I got annoyed and stares at me. I sucked my teeth because I'm in there minding my business. I'm not bothering anybody. I came in there to work out and go home. Why are you coming in here just to be annoying? You know, like that, it just irks me so bad. So that's why I sucked my teeth. I got annoyed and I sucked my teeth. For the first time, he got a reaction out of me. Because he now did something that was obvious gang stalking. So I sucked my teeth, right? Then he now starts passing back and forth purposely and pinching his nose. Purposely passing back and forth in front and pinching his nose. He kept doing it like he was trying to get a reaction out of me. So I finally said, "You ugly ass." Like, I didn't say it. You know, you might as well say it when your thoughts are being projected. At this point, you might as well say it with the neuromonitoring. Because when you think stuff, they hear your thoughts. At this point, I was so irritated because remember, again, that's bullying. They're painting this false narrative that I stink. I know I don't. I'm wearing deodorant. I'm putting on lotion. I'm spraying on perfume. I'm washing my clothes excessively. You know how annoying that is when people are pretending like you stink and you know you smell good? There's nothing more annoying than that. And then you're a random stranger too. You're not somebody that I have to tolerate. You're not somebody that's an everyday anybody for me. You're literally just coming around to antagonize and be a bully. For what? I didn't do anything to you, right? So it's not like you didn't have to be around me. It's not like you're forced to be around me. It's not like you're somebody that I work with where it's like, damn, I got to be around this person. I don't like them. You know, like some people might feel that way about me because of the targeting and whatever feelings they have towards me, right? Towards some of these reactions I've had. You don't have to be around me. You are coming out of your way to come to the gym to be around me to do stupidness. If I stink, why? You watch me on the camera, right? Make it make sense. That's to tell you it's just gang stalking bullshit. You saw me on these cameras in this gym at this time, this random time. Hardly anybody's here in the gym. You took your ass and drove to the gym and came inside. Why are you coming around me to pinch your nose? You know, and be annoying and be an asshole. So that's where the bitch came out. You know, I'm already like kind of worked up about the stuff that happened earlier where I get gaslit about, you know, these anxious reactions, whatever. Anytime that happens, I'm in a bad mood. But I was in a good mood, you know, because I had gotten good news. It's a holiday. Like I said, I get a week off. I get to rest and catch myself. I was actually in a pretty jovial mood. I get to come to the gym today. I love the gym. I'm minding my business. I'm not bothering anybody. Why are you coming out of your way to come in here and try to get some sort of nasty reaction out of me? For what? And where did you come from? Because I haven't seen you in months either. You know, and also, like I said, I remember him from months ago. He kept staring me down months ago. And they like to say I'm a narcissist and this and that. I'm just literally saying what happened. It happened on camera. He kept staring me down. And then he eventually worked his way over to the Smith machine and was whispering stuff in my ear. He literally did that. That was a few months ago. You know, I kind of brushed him off. I wasn't rude or disrespectful. I wasn't a bitch. It was just like, I didn't want to hear it. You know, I'm trying to, like, if we're having friendly, regular conversation, like, there's some guys in there that I have repertoire with. And it's not anything weird. It's not like they're staring me down or just saying, you know, whatever, coming in my space and whispering in my ear. It's like regular conversation. I'll talk back to you, of course. I'm not a stuck-up bitch. But, like, you doing weird stuff, like you're staring me down, and it's like, I feel like I'm moving over here, you're staring me down, and then you coming in my ear and whispering stuff. That does kind of rub me the wrong way. A little bit, but I still wasn't even rude to him. It's like then now months later, you come out of nowhere and you chose violence. Like you're just trying to like create stuff with me. I don't know what it is. But anyways, it was him pausing and staring at me. That was when I really realized it was gang stalking because it's like I wasn't rude. I didn't suck my teeth about the fact that he's all of a sudden walking back and forth as soon as I get to the heavier weights. I'm like, I'm going to pause. I'm not going to be rude and make assumptions. I'm just going to pause and let him, you know, finish passing back and forth and do his thing. The man saw that I paused. He gonna pause too and stare at me in the mirror. So this is where I had the reaction. And I sucked my teeth. I still didn't say nothing nasty. I just sucked my teeth. It was when he got nasty first. And because I sucked my teeth, all of a sudden he passing back and forth, pinching his nose and pinching his nose. They know that gets under my skin. Especially when I'm outside, you know, in an environment where you don't have to be around me. And you're doing it. You don't have to be around me. You're forcing yourself to be around me. To do that, like, that's just, it irked me so bad. I just went off on him. I haven't had a reaction like that in a long time. I have really been controlling it. You know, as a matter of fact, at PT training, after I passed and everything, the officer was talking to us, those of us that passed, and she said, y'all work so hard to get here. Make sure that you control your attitudes, you know, and she kind of looked in my direction and I knew she was talking to me, you know, like control your attitudes, you know, and just kind of warning about the attitude thing. And I'm like, I have been trying, you know, in my head, I'm thinking this, I have been trying. It's just hard with targeting and you being antagonized, you know, whatever. But I've been controlling it. I've been doing really good. I haven't had a reaction like that in a long time. Today was the first time in a while that I've had a real bitch reaction. But he really annoyed me. Like, it just really irked me. I can't explain it. And so when he was doing the pinch nose thing, and you know, I just went in my head, I just went off on him. I said, "Your ugly ass," right? Or whatever I said. I said, "Your ugly ass." I said, "It's always the ugly ones." I said, "You coming around here trying to make trouble with me." I said, "Ugly ass." I said, "It's always the ugly ones coming and trying to create trouble with me." I said that the man like basically ran to the other side of the gym. It's like, you know, it looks like again monster bitch at it again. Like I made a grown man run or something. But it's just like you started with me first, and it's just a reaction, man. And a lot of these dudes that be calling ugly, they ain't even ugly. They're average. Like typically when I go in and I see the ugly thing, it's usually like an average looking dude. Like he's not somebody you would look twice at. I'm gonna be honest with you, but he's not ugly. I mean, then again too, remember beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. I'm very real about the fact that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, right? So it's a matter of perception and subjectivity and opinion. And opinion is never wrong. So even if I genuinely felt like the dude was ugly, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if I genuinely felt that way because there are other people around that might not feel that way. It's really just a matter of opinion. So if I look at you and I feel like you're an ugly person, right? And I'm not even talking about your personality. I feel like your features are unappealing to me. That's my opinion, but that doesn't make it right or wrong. The next chick might look at you and say, damn, he's fine. What are you talking about? Because I've had that happen before with my friends when I was younger. I remember some of the guys my friends used to like, I used to be like, ugh. And then some of the guys I used to like, my friends used to be like, ugh. You know, so it's just like, it's just a matter of opinion when it comes to physical attraction. It's really left up to interpretation. It's subjectivity. So opinion is never right or wrong, right? So I know I can easily say that though about an average looking dude, right? Because that's my opinion, right? And I know that, there's a universal standard for what beauty is. So even though it is a subjective thing, even though beauty is a subjective thing, or attraction is a subjective thing, and it really matters, it really depends on culture, location, etc., whatever your views are, right? Whatever you grew up around. Typically you like what you've grown up around, right? There is still a universal, that's why that term exists, standard of beauty. There are some people that are so attractive that no matter what culture you go to, right, or what part of the world you go to, typically the majority would agree that this person is attractive. And then there are some people that are average looking, right, where it doesn't, it's like left to the interpretation. Like, you might look at me and say, okay, she has beautiful brown eyes, where someone else might look and say, I don't really like those eyes, they're too far apart, like whatever, right? He's average looking. I think universally speaking, most people would agree he's an average looking guy, right? And typically these guys that I call ugly, that are antagonizing and bullying me first, I peep that they're average looking, and I peep that that's an insult I could use. I could easily throw ugly at you because you're average looking. So I could easily say ugly, and it's left to the interpretation, and that could get under your skin. You came antagonizing me first. As usual, I'm getting gaslit about it. Me having a reaction. It's me, I'm the bad guy, I'm the bitch. This is always how it works. I have these reactions, and hold on, y'all. Let me see something. Okay, yeah. I thought I heard somebody pull up. I am hearing an engine somewhere. Anyway, that's usually how the thing works though. Like, I have these reactions to what's going on around me. Like somebody antagonizing me or harassing me or bullying me. And then my reaction to the bullying is more hurtful, quote unquote hurtful, than what you were doing. Really, it isn't. How can you determine that? You don't know how I feel. Them constantly pinching their nose. You know how many people are doing that now? That is very painful. And I'm dealing with that all the time. And now I'm in a space that I like, where I'm trying to release tension, and you're bringing your negative energy doing that. For what? And so now I react and I call you ugly, and you run into the other side of the gym. And then everybody that has a problem with me and has their little subjective bias feelings ready to hop on. And it's not everyone, but there are people that have issues with me, like in this neighborhood. Like, I heard laughing just now when I was talking. There are people that are very biased. They'll see something happen. They'll see that the person is wrong, and they'll still hop on that person's side just because it's me. So anyways, so that's what it was though. I just called the dude ugly. He's average looking. He's not, in my opinion. It's like, it's left to interpretation, like I said. In my opinion, I wouldn't call him ugly. If I really thought he was ugly, I wouldn't sit here and say, I keep saying this. I wouldn't sit here and say he's not ugly. I would just start talking about other stuff. He's average looking, like literally average Joe. And I knew I could use that insult and get under his skin, and it worked. He ran to that side of the gym. But leave me alone, man. I'm already going through enough. Like, just let me, like, I can't just come to the gym and work out in peace. Anyway, so that's what happened. I called the dude ugly or whatever. He ran to that side of the gym. And the next, 2 seconds later, as if on cue, the dude that had made videos about months prior, I haven't made videos about this guy in a long time. The last time I made a video about him was when I was talking about what was happening with him and the Italian guy. And how I don't want to rehash the stupid thing. He started, like, the gang stalking started getting kind of gnarly with him. When the tick with the Italian guy started happening, it was almost like this tag team thing with the two of them, where they were both kind of like gang stalking me in there. And then he started getting real, like, rowdy with the gang stalking that he was doing. He's like, even like insinuated that I was trash. It's just like, he got real gnarly with it, with the gang stalking. And he was not that bad before. He really wasn't. But whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't even really give a rat's ass, to be honest. I've been through so much worse things, like so many things. I don't care. I was actually kind of glad when they stopped using him though, because it seems like after the Italian guy, they stopped using him finally. After they stopped using him, I noticed I started seeing that guy, the guy that I had said was my type. I started seeing him like excessively. Every time I went to the gym, I was seeing him. I was like, God, are they going to stop using him? Because what it is again, I'm going to reiterate what I've said in prior videos. I'm a very private person. I'm not open about the people I like. And typically it takes a lot for me to like a guy. So I can find you physically attractive. Ooh, kudos to you. That's the first step. The personality has to link with mine. Like I said, I have this unique personality, and I don't have chemistry with just about anybody. So you have to have like the kind of personality that makes me feel comfortable. And then I really start looking at you as a romantic interest. You might be eye candy. I might look at you and say, hey, I like to see that. That's about it. You know how many guys I've seen that I think are attractive, and then when I have conversations with them, I realize, yeah, this would never be a thing. Like, that's kind of what it is, right? So with him, you know, like I said, I'm not gonna change up. I'm a real person. You know, some girls would be like, you know, once he start doing gang stalk and stuff, like, I don't like him. Like, it's not that. I still, to this day, will say and be very honest. Physically speaking, he is my type. That's typically the type I go for. And it's not necessarily his aesthetic. So it's not necessarily like a brown skin, muscular Rasta guy. I've liked light skin. I've liked dark skin. Typically, the aesthetic I like are tall guys, muscular. The face doesn't really matter. That's typically what I like physically. It's not all about the physical. I've liked other physical types, not that type, even men that weren't muscular, right? I've liked other physical types, but I'm just saying, speaking about physical attraction, if there were a type that I had, that would be it. Tall and muscular. The face don't really, I mean, it matters a little bit. You don't have to be attracted to your face, but really the face doesn't have to be all that. It really doesn't. You know, not at all. Trust me. So anyways, so I still say he's physically my type. I'm not going to change up now just because he's done gang stalking stuff or he got nasty with the gang stalking. It means it is what it is. He is physically my type. But I've had conversations with the guy. I've had several conversations with him before he started getting real rowdy with the gang stalking. I've had several struggle conversations with him, and I already realized he seems like a cool person, aside from what he did to me with the gang stalking. Again, I think that's just, I'm open-minded and objective enough to realize it's just targeting, and it's me, right? He seems like a cool person. Like, I could tell he has a cool personality, but there's no chemistry there, like none. Like, I could tell, like, even if I weren't targeted, and him and I were to start trying to talk to each other, it would have never been a thing. He's attractive, but there's no chemistry there. Like, I literally was struggling with the conversation with him, and I started realizing, wait a minute, this ain't that. Like, this ain't that. Like, I really do find him attractive, genuinely. I'm still saying it. I'm not a liar. Like I keep saying, I'm as real as they come. I do find him attractive, but there is no chemistry there. And I didn't realize that months ago. When they had there's another dude that comes in there, right? Dark skinned dude. He was even wearing an army shirt last night, like real gangsta. I don't know what the hell, why he did that, right? I don't even try to figure out why people do stuff anymore, right? Even with him, the chemistry is more. Like, the conversation flows and it's more comfortable. I can't really explain. I try to give examples to explain what I mean when I say certain things. The chemistry is there more with that guy, right? And I have no motive to say that. He came in a whole army shirt last night, right? But he's still cool. And I still had conversations, even with the big army shirt, and I still talk to the man because, like, there's just some sort of chemistry there. You know what I mean when I say chemistry? Like, if you have, like, a conversation flows with a person. With me, it's hard to find that in a man. I find it every now and then. And so that has to happen first before we go anywhere else. Yeah, okay. I don't care if I hear the crickets. I've been very real about that. Yeah. I have a unique personality. I find that every now and then. He didn't have it. He's a cool guy, I could tell. I'm not trying to take away, even with the gang stalking shit he did to me. A lot of them gang stalk me. It is what it is. He seemed like a cool person aside from that. We had no chemistry. I done realized months ago this was not a thing. That thing canceled off a long time. And then, on top of things, the only reason I even mentioned that, like I said, in the beginning of the year, he was my type, because I never would have done that, typically, was because a lot of dudes were coming in there, I said this already, coming in there and, like, doing this weird, like, honeypot thing. I don't know if it was honeypot or what it was. It wasn't all of them, but it was quite a few of them when I first got in the gym. Just coming in there and trying to make eye contact with me and doing all this weird stuff. And he was one of the few guys that wasn't doing it. And out of the guys that wasn't doing it, he was physically my type. Just it, surface level, physically my type. I had never spoken to him. So I said that in a video as a buck back, and it worked. Those other guys stopped eyeing me as much when I said what I said, right? But later it backfired. But I'm just like, when is this going to stop? When are they going to stop using him? Because at this point now, so much has happened. He's done all kind of gang stalking stuff. You know, whatever has happened, why do they still use him? Is what I'm trying to figure out. They kind of stopped. Like, for the last month, I want to say they stopped. You know, I noticed, like, after the Italian guy stopped coming, I was only seeing him. Every time I went to the gym, I was seeing they were using him. I started getting annoyed too. I used to kind of roll my eyes. Not trying to be a bitch, but I'm just like, damn, why did I ever say that stupid thing in the video at the beginning of the year? But then eventually I just noticed I stopped seeing him. Like every time I go, I wasn't seeing him. And I understand he's gonna be there sometimes. You know, he genuinely goes there. When I first got in the gym, before I had ever opened my big stupid mouth, he was in there. So it's not like I'm saying, if I'm there, you don't go there. Like, of course not. He was there before I ever even had a membership. But it's the way it was like excessively, like every time I go, I'm seeing him. You know, and sometimes he's coming in the area where I'm working. I just could tell, like, it had turned into this gang stalking thing. I'm like, it's because of that stupid thing I said at the beginning of the year. Like, damn, this thing backfired. And, you know, like in the last month, they stopped using him. I noticed I wasn't seeing him as much, and it felt good because I just, like, you know, it created this thing, man. And I just want things to go back to normal. Like, I never said anything. I just want it to be, like, you know, a random person in there. I just want it to go back to normal. You know, I regret saying anything. Like, almost as much as I regret sending the damn text message, man. Because the gym is one of the main places I go to, you know? So it's just like, I really regret ever saying anything. But anyway, so after that thing, because I'm going off on a tangent, after that thing happened today with the dude, where I called the dude ugly, all of a sudden I see him come in all red shirt, red pants, red stocking cap. So I couldn't help it. I thought, like, oh God, here we go. You know, because I felt like it was going to be some gang stalking shit. And he's walking to the bathroom like, damn, you know? I didn't even mean to think that. I thought I typically just try to ignore whenever I see him. But this was a moment where I couldn't control my brain because I was already worked up and in reaction mode from the other dude. So I was just like, oh God, here we go. You know, so I thought in my head or whatever, because I was like, I hadn't been seeing him. They finally stopped using him. And then now he's coming in all red. I'm like, come on, man. Anyway, but I just wish it would stop. Seriously, like, that thing done. Gone. Like, he done all kind of gang stalking thing on me. And then not just that, too. Like I said, I've had conversations. I know they saw on camera these conversations, these struggle conversations that him and I had. There's no chemistry there. So already that thing done cancel off any crush that I would have had. I just found him attractive. That's all it was. And I only said it as a tactic that backfired. There's no chemistry there. So the attraction is long gone. And then he gang stalked too. It's gone. So please stop using him as a gang stalker. Anyways, that's it. Talk to y'all in the next one, man. That's all I had to talk about, y'all. I'm done. I'll talk to y'all in the next one. I think this is under 2 hours. I have to get all that off my chest. I haven't made a video in a while. But I was getting gaslit yesterday, gaslit today about reactions. And then in the gym, the reaction I had, like, they were done trying to gaslight me about that and make it like I was being a bitch. When it was reactive abuse and you know, more gaslighting. And I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out.